Chapter 1752. What's the point of thinking so much? Do you think you can achieve great things if you're scared? If you don't even ask, how do you know Mion will refuse? Leave it to me. You two don't have to worry about it. Grandpa Su's words settled the matter. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su looked at each other helplessly. If only things were that simple. The problem was that things between Su Yu and Huamin weren't that simple. After a day of tiredness, Huamin took a bath with rose petals. When he came out, the babies were already asleep. Mom, are they all asleep? Huamin asked in a low voice. Yang Meirong nodded. Yeah, little Bean was easy to coax. She fell asleep after a while. Pudding was a little harder to coax. Her eyes kept rolling around. I could tell she's a naughty girl. I played some piano music for her. Then, she got sleepy and fell asleep. Huamin was wearing a bathrobe and leaned his head on his mother's shoulder. Mom, you've worked hard. Go to your room and get some rest. You have to wake up early tomorrow to take care of the little devils. Okay, I'm going back. You should go to bed early too. You're going out tomorrow, right? During dinner that night, she overheard the conversation between Huamin and Su Yu. Yeah, I'm going to Ni Yang celebration party tomorrow, but I'll be back in a few hours. It won't be long. Don't worry about home, you can stay a little longer. Lady Su and I can take care of the little ones. You've been working hard for almost a month, it's time for you to relax. Okay. After Yang Meirong left, Huamin quietly walked over and kissed the two little ones on the forehead. Their bodies had a strong milky scent that smelled especially good. Wow. How magical. So, these are my daughters. Huamin turned on the dim light and looked at the two little ones sleeping, feeling warm inside. Then, she rolled onto the bed and fell asleep. Huamin, here. Why are you sleeping in my class again? Is my class that boring? The physics teacher complained indignantly. He picked up Huamin, who was sleeping on the table, and taught him a lesson. It's not your fault. I'm always sleepy at this time of the day. It's purely because of my biological clock, Huamin said in a daze. The entire class burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Shut up, all of you. I've studied physics for so many years and have interacted with so many students, but your batch is the most difficult to deal with. Huamin, I heard that you're a top student? Could it be that all the top students behave like this? Teacher Wu, please calm down. I'll try not to sleep next time. I'll try my best to control my sleepiness. Huamin's words caused another round of laughter. It had been less than a week since school started, and the students weren't very familiar with each other yet. They didn't even have a monthly exam. However, they heard that Huamin was the top scholar in the middle school entrance exam, so the teachers paid extra attention to her. Qin Chu sat at the northernmost end of the table, parallel to Huamin. There were 5 or 6 students between them, so they weren't close. They never said a word, but many girls took the initiative to sit around Qin Chu. They took the initiative to talk to him, ask for his QQ number, and even write him love letters. Huamin wasn't a pretty girl, so she didn't have many suitors. However, her deskmate, Zhu Lingling, was different. She was very pretty, so she was very popular with boys. Huamin wasn't surprised. After all, everyone liked to judge a book by its cover. This was the first time that Huamin was publicly criticized by a teacher, so she immediately attracted the attention of the entire class. Chapter 1753. Qin Chu tilted his head and glanced at Huamin. His face was still expressionless, and no one knew what he was thinking. Aren't you a genius? Aren't you the top scholar in the middle school entrance exam? Come. It's been a week since school started, and I've taught you a lot of questions. Help me solve a question, and if you can get it right, I'll let you sleep in my class from now on. If you can't do it right, and if you dare to sleep in my class again, you'll be kicked out immediately. Little girl, you're so young, yet you're already so bad at school. Just because you have some talent, you don't know how to respect your teacher. I'll definitely talk to your homeroom teacher about this. This is outrageous. The physics teacher was a 50-year-old man with a strange temper. Many people didn't like him, probably because he was too old-fashioned and strict. Mr. Wu's words piqued the interest of all the students, and most of them were gloating. Zhu Lingling also broke out in a cold sweat for Huamin. She said in a low voice, "Girl, take it easy. If you can't do it, just apologize. Don't lower yourself to the level of an old man." At this moment, Huamin's consciousness finally cleared, and she completely woke up from her dream. She yawned lazily, and then said arrogantly, "Teacher, hurry up and give me the question. The class will be over soon." There was a burst of laughter around her again. Even the class monitor, Han Su, couldn't help but praise, "This girl is quite interesting." The mischievous Wei Dong added, "I like girls like her. She has a temper, she's fun, and she's arrogant." Qin Chu was still expressionless. He lowered his head and played with the mini Rubik's Cube in his hand. It was as if everything in the world had nothing to do with him. The physics teacher was angered by Huamin's words. He originally gave her a question that wasn't too difficult. However, he suddenly gave her a question that would only be given during the college entrance exam. After all, they were only in their first year of high school. No matter how good a student was in school, they wouldn't be able to solve such a difficult question if they hadn't studied it before. Looking at the dense physics equations on the blackboard, the whole class fell silent again. Some girls muttered softly. Old Wu is trying to kill Huamin this time. If I were to solve this problem, I wouldn't be able to solve it even if I tried for 10,000 years. Just looking at it makes me pee my pants. Everyone was quietly waiting to watch the drama unfold. They wanted to see the girl who was the legendary top scorer in the middle school entrance exam embarrass herself. You can come up now. After the physics teacher gave the question, he looked at Huamin. Huamin raised his wrist and looked at his watch. Teacher, there are still 15 minutes before the end of class. I have enough time to solve the questions, but I have a small request. Go ahead. The physics teacher looked at Huamin seriously. If I solve it correctly, can you let me off a few minutes earlier? I'm a little dizzy from sleeping and want to go out for a walk to get some fresh air. After Huamin finished speaking, the entire class went into an uproar. Was there really such an arrogant girl? Was she trying to go to heaven? Wasn't that too willful? At this moment, the physics teacher's face was ashen. You have to answer it correctly first, then you can negotiate with me. If you get it wrong, you're in for it. Don't think that I'm a pushover, Mr. Wu said word by word as he clenched his teeth. Huamin slowly got up and walked up to the stage. He picked up a piece of white chalk. Then, he quickly glanced at the question. Then, he quickly began to solve it. His speed was unbelievably fast. Everyone was dazzled by his answer. Fuck, is this girl cheating? She's too fast. I can't even read as fast as she writes. Chapter 1754. That's awesome. Even though I don't understand what she wrote, I can't help but feel confident. I have a feeling that this time, Old Wu is going to pick this girl. Our class is going to produce a genius. The students in the classroom whispered amongst themselves, and they became even more nervous. At this moment, Qin Chu stopped playing with the Rubik's Cube. Then, he gently placed the Rubik's Cube on his desk. He slowly raised his head, and there was a slight change in his eyes. Mr. Wu's question was one that only appeared during the college entrance exam, and it was a very difficult question. This wasn't the standard for first-year students, so it was obvious that he was trying to give this girl a hard time. However, this girl was actually able to solve it. She was a god. He had seen this girl's interview on TV before, and she was as arrogant as she could get. At this moment, Qin Chu's interest was piqued again, and he was ready to enjoy this show. When Huamin finished writing the last character, there was only a little bit of chalk left in her hand. She looked down at her watch and said, 4 minutes and 35 seconds. It's just right, there's still time. Then, she threw the piece of chalk into the trash can and took a step back. The entire blackboard was exposed. Mr. Wu glanced at it and was a little surprised. How is this possible? Mr. Wu, did I do it right? Huamin smiled faintly. This kind of smile, from far away in the classroom, was reflected in Qin Chu's eyes. For some reason, he felt a little different. In his heart, there seemed to be a little ripple. Mr. Wu, Mr. Wu? Huamin saw that Mr. Wu didn't say anything, so she reached out 5 fingers and shook them. Mr. Wu came back to his senses and asked, You've done this question before? I've never heard of it, Huamin said honestly. But how is this possible? Mr. Wu was still in shock. Not only did Huamin get it right, but she also solved it using the simplest and most shortcut that she came up with. This solution shocked Mr. Wu, but she actually got it right, and the equation made sense. You? Who did you learn this from? I've never learned it before. I researched it myself. I've done this kind of question a few times before. This question is obviously more difficult, so I tried my own method to verify it. The result is surprisingly satisfying. I think it's not bad. What do you think? Huamin asked the physics teacher arrogantly. Mr. Wu was dumbfounded. Finally, he came back to his senses and sighed slightly. The student has really surpassed the master. I didn't expect there to be such an amazing student among you kids. You are indeed a genius. Not only did you answer the question correctly, but you also used your own method. It is very worthy of praise. Students, if any of you can be at the same level as this student, I will allow you to sleep in my class every day. As soon as Old Man Wu said this, the entire class went into an uproar. Damn, what kind of treatment was this? She was allowed to sleep openly in physics class. Teacher, I still have 10 minutes. Can I go out for some fresh air? Go. All right. Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Wu suddenly shouted. Huamin turned around. What's your name? Huamin. Hui as in Huamin, Mian as in Huayuanjia. Huamin smiled sweetly. In the first week of school, Huamin's name was well known in the entire class, even the story of her fighting against the physics teacher spread throughout the entire school. Many students from other classes would climb through the window every day to see who was Huamin. The degree of development of the incident was extremely exaggerated. Qin Chu picked up the imitation toy and continued to play with it with one hand. His speed was very fast. This girl was indeed very interesting, he liked. This was the first time in his life that he was interested in a little girl. He wanted to know more about her. When class was about to start, Huamin slowly walked out of the female washroom. Then, a tall and handsome figure blocked her way at the door. Hello, Huamin, my name is Qin Chu, he proudly introduced himself. What does your name have to do with me? Huamin became even more arrogant. After Qin Chu heard this, he smiled helplessly for the first time in his life. It seemed like he was right to hit a wall. Chapter 1755. Huamian couldn't help but laugh when she dreamt of this. Then, she woke up from her dream. Only then did she realize that it was all just a dream. She dreamed of the beautiful memories of high school back then. Suddenly, her heart fell to the bottom again. She turned over and got up. She was no longer sleepy. She picked up her phone and looked at it. It was already 12:30 p.m. She got out of bed gently and carefully opened the baby's diapers. She changed them into new ones and saw that the two little guys didn't look like they were going to wake up. Huamin took out a cigarette from the drawer and walked to the bathroom. She leaned against the sink and lit it up. When she was extremely depressed, she would smoke. It was a habit she had for many years. She wasn't addicted to it, she just wanted to relieve her stress. She didn't know how long she would have to wait for Qin Chu like this. She also didn't know how long she could last in this aimless waiting. She missed Qin Chu so much, but she didn't know who to tell. She opened Qin Chu's old WeChat. She opened it and saw that it was full of chat logs. The last one was when they were preparing for the wedding. She teased him and said that she wanted to give him a red packet as a betrothal gift. Qin Chu transferred $1,314,520 to her and she made a small profit. At that time, she felt sweet in her heart. Looking at it now, she felt like her heart was being cut by a knife. She didn't dare to think about what she would do if Qin Chu was really dead. Was he going to spend the rest of his life alone in such a desolate state? Under extreme depression, Huamin sent Qin Chu 6 words on WeChat. Honey, I miss you so much. She waited for a few seconds, but there was no reply. She smiled bitterly, put out the cigarette, brushed her teeth, and went back to sleep. Little did she know that these 6 words also disturbed the heart of a man on the other side of the world. He had always been on WeChat and had been relying on their old chat logs and photos of Huamin to get through this hellish time. The moment he received this message, he couldn't help but want to reply to Huamin. But he knew that he had to hold back. Now wasn't the time. Qin Chu stared at his phone, feeling terrible. He just stood there, motionless. It was as if she could see Huamin on the other end of the phone. At this moment, a bell rang. Qin Chu hesitated for a moment before picking it up. It was Lu Yan. Xiao Fei is almost out of danger. Thank you. No need. Do you need my help? It's all for my sister. I also want to investigate this Huasi Qian. I have a feeling that he has something to do with Ian. No need. Eh? Why are you like a block of wood? I'm just being nice. I don't need your kindness. After speaking, Qin Chu hung up the phone. He was still the same, uninterested in anyone other than Huamin. Not even Huamin's biological sister. Damn, this man's temper is really annoying. This is the first time I've met someone who dared to hang up on me. If he wasn't my brother-in-law and your savior, I would have blown him up right now, Lu Yan said angrily. Xiao Fei had already woken up. He looked at Lu Yan and said domineeringly, I want water. Okay, wait here. Lu Yan poured a glass of water for him but found that Xiao Fei couldn't even get up. It was very inconvenient for him to drink like this. Eh? Don't you have a straw here? I'll go ask the nurse for one. Lu Yan was about to leave when Xiao Fei grabbed her hand. She turned around. What? Chapter 1756. No straw. It's dirty. Young Master Qiao said proudly. Damn it. Big brother, you look half dead. How can you drink without a straw? Are you going to die of thirst? Lu Yan was baffled. Xiao Fei looked at her for 3 seconds and said calmly, I want you to feed me. Ahem. What did you say? I want you to feed me, with your mouth. Xiao Fei's expression didn't change. Are you crazy? I'm giving you face, Xiao Fei. I don't care. If you don't feed me, I won't drink. It's up to you. You deserve it if you die of thirst. Lu Yan was bad-tempered. Hearing Xiao Fei's words, he was also very angry and directly became angry. Qiao Fei turned his head away and didn't speak. Lu Yan lowered her head. She was angry. Time passed by. Half an hour later. Lu Yan glanced at Qiao Fei and found his lips were dry. He looked pitiful. Her heart softened. You really don't want to drink water? Qiao Fei didn't speak. Damn it. Okay. I give up. I'll freeze to death if I'm in a cold war with a polar bear like you. I'm just going to feed you. I'm going all out. Just treat it as feeding a dog, okay? Qiao Fei. Then, Lu Yan drank a mouthful of water and walked over. She went all out and stuffed Qiao Fei's mouth, then fed him the water. Qiao Fei listened and drank all the water. I want more. Qiao Fei continued to order. Lu Yan's face flushed slightly. Why are you so nosy? I want more. Qiao Fei repeated. Okay. I give up. I'll make you drink to death. Lu Yan jumped into Qiao Fei's trap and fed him mouthful by mouthful. At first, he was drinking obediently. Then, for some reason, it turned into a strange kiss. Lu Yan felt like her brain was short-circuiting. She was used to fighting and killing, so she had never experienced such a situation before. She only felt that there was something soft in her mouth that kept stirring the noodles. It was a magical feeling. Her heart was beating faster than usual. Psycho Qiao. Hey, you're taking advantage of me, Shu. Don't talk, you're so noisy. As soon as Qiao Fei regained his strength, he kissed Lu Yan wildly, almost suffocating her. In the end, it was the nurse who pushed the door open and interrupted them. Miss Lu? Young Master Qiao's body is still weak. Can you give him some time to recover? Lu Yan, in the nurse's eyes, it was Lu Yan's fault. It was so weird. Lu Yan was about to explode. Qiao Fei said gently, Yan, I'm a little hungry. Can you buy something to eat? Lu Yan didn't know if it was her imagination, but she felt that Qiao Fei sounded especially gentle when he called her name today. Oh. Okay, I'll go buy it. Then, Lu Yan walked out of the room. Qiao Fei's face immediately turned cold and he looked at the nurse. Call my father over. Young Master Qiao, you're still very weak. You need to rest, cut the crap. Let my father do it. Qiao Fei's eyes were gloomy. She was completely different from when she was lying to Lu Yan. The nurse did not dare to delay and immediately ran out. When Lu Yan came back with the kanji, Qiao Fei switched to his gentle mode. Lu Yan fed Qiao Fei mouthful by mouthful. He reached out and placed his hand on her slender leg. Huh? Where are you touching? Do you think I won't throw a bowl of kanji at your face? Lu Yan said fiercely. Yan, if I die, will you cry for me? Qiao Fei looked at her gently. Chapter 1757. Pooh! What are you talking about? You won't die. You're a cockroach, Qiao Fei. Qiao Fei wasn't a nice guy to have fallen in love with a woman like Lu Yan. He had been chasing after her for years, but he never felt tired. He had traveled all over the world, from the Alps to the Himalayas, but this time, Qiao Fei really thought he was going to die. This was the first time he felt so close to death. He ate a small mouthful of porridge and said slowly, this time, I really thought I was going to die. Before I fainted, the last scene in my mind was the first time we met. Do you remember? The first time we met? When was that? I forgot. Lu Yan wasn't as emotional as Qiao Fei. It was when you were 10 years old? My father and I went to Amsterdam for the first time to find you and your father. At that time, you were standing in a field of tulips, wearing a yellow dress. From afar, you were as beautiful as a painting. Qiao Fei was a cold person and would never say such sentimental words. Hearing him say this, Lu Yan felt shy, and her cheeks blushed again. You were a pervert at such a young age. Lu Yan joked. When I saw you, I thought that my life with you must be colorful. Haha. When I was 10 years old, I often traveled between countries. My old man was always chased by people and couldn't take me with him. When I saw you in Holland, my dad and I had just killed a lot of people. I was a bit depressed, so I changed into pretty clothes and went to the tulips to find redemption. Qiao Fei, I'm not a fairy, I'm a murderer. I'm not a socialite, I'm not a movie star, and I'm not a good girl from an ordinary family. I'm the leader of a world-famous mercenary group, Lu Yan, one of the top 10 assassins in the world. I'm a criminal wanted by Interpol. I'm not as good as I say. Lu Yan lowered her head slowly. For the first time, she hated her profession. Yan, there's something I've always wanted to tell you. I thought I had a lot of chances, but this time, I realized that we were almost separated by life and death. Lu Yan slowly raised her head. Qiao Fei held her hands tightly with both of his. Yan, if you're an angel, I'll follow you to heaven. If you're a demon, I'll follow you to hell. No matter where you are, I'll be with you. Qiao Fei. Actually, before Lu Yan could say yes or no, she heard the door open. Lu Yan immediately pulled back her hand and stood up to keep a distance from him, afraid that others would notice. Third brother, it's good that you're awake. Father Chiao looked relieved. Uncle, you guys chat first. I'll go out and buy some fruits for him. Then, Lu Yen dashed out, Father. I was injured this time, and I suspect that a mole leaked my whereabouts. Yeah, Lu Yen said the same thing. I've asked someone to investigate this. Mr. Chiao nodded. Father, have you investigated my second brother? Chiao Fei suddenly asked coldly. Your second brother? Do you suspect that Chiao Nan? Father Chiao's eyes widened as he looked at his son in disbelief. Chapter 1758. The father and son of the Chiao family were discussing the mole in the hospital room. Lu Yen, on the other hand, suddenly had a strange idea. She dialed a number. Dad, what's up? Chiao Fei woke up. I know. How did you know? If I didn't know about this, how could I survive? I would have been caught a long time ago, Professor Lu said proudly. Dad, I want to go back to see my sister. No, I know you won't agree. I just want to go back quietly. I don't want to disturb her. I still want to see my twin nieces. You have to. Don't you remember how you were chased the moment you got off the plane last time? I'll be careful this time. I said no means no. Don't cause me trouble. Dad, don't hang up yet. I have something to tell you. What is it? Chin Chu. My brother-in-law has an injury on his leg. I think it's because of this that he's unwilling to go back to see my sister. Can you help him? You're so good at medicine. Maybe you can cure him? I know about his injury, but there's nothing I can do. You should know that I'm not that good at medicine. I'm good at chemistry and physics, and I can research all kinds of explosives and biochemical weapons. That's why I'm being targeted. You've inherited my genes, and you're an explosive genius. Your sister, on the other hand, is a medical genius like your mother. Chin Chu's leg is very complicated and difficult to treat. He's a genius doctor, but even he can't do anything about it. What can I do? Unless... Professor Lu paused intentionally. Unless what? Lu Yen asked. Unless your mother? She might have a way. But my mother? Lu Yen hesitated at the mention of her mother. Okay, I still have things to do. I'll warn you one more time. Before Ian is taken care of, you're not allowed to go near your sister. Professor Lu hung up the phone. What the hell? I can't even visit my own sister and nieces. How am I supposed to survive if I'm afraid of this and that? Seriously? Immediately, Lu Yen felt dejected and listless. Ian? You damn pervert, I'll definitely find a way to blow you into pieces? Ah. Lu Yen felt like she was going crazy. For the first time in her life, she felt like Ian was a difficult enemy to deal with. Ian had been the most difficult opponent and enemy to deal with over the years. Lu Yen had almost died in his hands several times. She had been playing a game of cat and mouse with him, at the same time, in the Su family villa. That night, Su drove back on time to pick up Huamin for the celebration party. He had even brought several sets of formal attire for Huamin to choose from, but Huamin had already prepared everything for himself. It was rare to see Huamin dressed so elegantly in a long pink gown. When she tilted her shoulders were slightly exposed. It was especially sexy, but it didn't reveal too much. The white high heels were simple and elegant. Huamin's shoulder-length hair had also unknowingly grown longer. Today, she only had a simple braid, which was half-coiled. Behind her left ear, there was a red daisy, which was just right for decorating. So you didn't deny that his heart began to race when he saw Huamin like this. She had never been a great beauty, but when she was beautiful, she could steal people's souls. I even prepared several sets of formal attire for you. It seems like I didn't do much. So you smiled. How about this one? I bought it a long time ago. I didn't wear it much, so I asked someone to get it from South Hill Manor. So you looked at Huamin in a daze? He felt his heart beating faster and faster. Dr. Hua, you look really beautiful today, so you said slowly after a pause. Chapter 1759. Thank you. Huamin smiled slightly. Su was wearing a black and white shirt with diamond-studded cuffs and buttons. He was only wearing a pair of simple black trousers, but it didn't affect his kingly aura at all. The black Lamborghini sped through the night and finally stopped in front of a 5-star hotel that Imperial Star recently acquired. As soon as they got out of the car, they were surrounded by reporters. Miss Hua, long time no see. Congratulations on clearing your name. Miss Hua, you disappeared for almost a year. Where have you been in the past year? Were you overseas? Miss Hua, why are you here? Where's your husband, Mr. Qin? Miss Hua, rumors say that you're President Su's girlfriend. Do you have anything to say about this? Miss Hua, does your sudden appearance at Imperial Star mean that GK and Imperial Star are going to work together? Miss Hua, the truth about Song Yisher's death has been revealed, but we're all curious as to why you turned yourself in as a murderer. Is there a hidden reason? Huamin didn't answer the reporter's questions. He only smiled slightly. Then, she followed Suyu into the hotel lobby. Suyu's assistant, An, stood behind them to maintain order. I'm sorry, everyone. Today is Imperial Star's celebration party and we won't be accepting any interviews. President Su and Miss Hua won't be answering any questions that have nothing to do with the movie. Thank you, everyone. Sis, you're here. Enai Yang walked over from afar. Dressed in a handsome black suit, he looked like a superstar from head to toe. You're so handsome today. Kid, you're indeed a good-looking guy. You live up to your reputation, Huamin praised with a smile. Enai Yang smiled and glanced at Suyu. President Su, MHM, we can start now. Is everyone here? Suyu looked down at his watch. Wait a bit. Jia isn't here yet. Enai Yang replied anxiously. Little Jia is coming. Are you going to announce your relationship? Huamin was stunned. No. I'm not going to make it public. I just want her to accompany me and witness my glorious moment. Suyu chimed in, Enai Yang just signed a contract with Imperial Star, so he's not stable yet. I don't think he should go public with his relationship now. After he wins a few more awards and acts in a few more TV shows, his popularity will stabilize. By then, he can even get married and have children without any problems. After all, fans nowadays are rational fans. They won't be so stupid as to commit suicide just because their idol is getting married. Yes, that's a good idea. Huamin nodded, agreeing with Suyu's idea. Then, the two of them walked into the inner area. The Imperial Star Palace was full of stars. In the luxurious hall, dozens of tables were filled with people, regardless of whether it was a big shot or a D-lister, all of them were present. Rather than calling it Enai Yang celebration party, it was more like a gathering of Imperial Star's employees. Suyu and Huamin walked in and sat down at the first table. It was obvious that they were very important people. Suyu gently pulled out a chair for Huamin and asked her to sit down. Then, he helped her put her jacket on the chair and sat down next to her. Then, he opened a bottle of water for her. This series of actions caused everyone's eyeballs to pop out. The female celebrities began to gossip in private. Wow, who is that woman? President Su is so nice to her. I've been at Imperial Star for 5 years, and I've never seen President Su treat a woman so well. Even Jian Tong, who was his favorite at the peak of her career, didn't receive such treatment. Look, don't you think that woman looks a bit like Mian Mian? No, Mian Mian looks like her. After Mian's plastic surgery, a lot of people complained about how she didn't look pretty and how she wanted to be more pure. It turns out she's imitating President Su's new lover. What a scheming bitch. Jian Tong and Zhao Qingya both lost to her. She looks familiar? Why does she look like GK's Lady Qin? Some female celebrities seem to recognize her. Chapter 1760. Anyways, to be able to appear at such a grand event and be by President Su's side, she's definitely not someone to be trifled with. Let's just watch the show. Jian Tong sat at the second table. The moment she saw Huamin, she immediately felt extremely pissed. No wonder President Su wasn't moved no matter how much she tried to seduce him. It was because she was by his side. While Suyu stood up to chat with the company's executives, Jian Tong stood up and walked over with a glass of wine. Miss Hua. Oh, no, I should call you Mrs. Qin. Miss Jian. Huamin turned around and glanced at Jian Tong's face. Long time no see. Jian Tong smiled fakely. Yeah, long time no see. So you divorced your husband, President Qin, and are now with President Su? Jian Tong asked straightforwardly. Huamin's face immediately darkened. Where did you find that out? Huamin laughed. As someone's wife, isn't it the best proof that you don't follow your husband and always hang out with other men? So, you think that there's only one kind of relationship between a man and a woman, right? Huamin asked back. Jian Tong smiled contemptuously. What else? Are we good friends? Or bestie? You shouldn't be saying that to me. You should ask President Su. Jian Tong's expression changed slightly. Miss Jian, you're a popular actress and have been in the entertainment industry for many years. I thought you would have some backbone. I didn't expect you to be someone who bullies the weak and fears the strong. You pick on the weak, right? Unfortunately, I'm not a weak person. After saying this, Huamin turned around and glanced at Suyu, who wasn't far away. Suyu. Yeah. Suyu immediately turned around. Come here for a moment. Huamin waved his hand and called Suyu over. What's wrong? Suyu looked at Huamin gently. Your employee wants to know what our relationship is. I'm too lazy to explain. Even if I did, she might not believe me. Come on, tell her what our relationship is. Huamin looked at Jian Tong arrogantly. Jian Tong had no idea that Huamin would be so straightforward as to directly call Suyu over. She had not expected this at all. She was so scared that her face turned ashen. She was no longer embarrassed. She was afraid that Suyu would get angry. Suyu turned his head and glanced at Jian Tong. A trace of displeasure flashed through his eyes. Huamin and I are good friends. Is there a problem? No, no. Jian Tong lowered her head and didn't dare to speak loudly. Suyu continued, also, when did my employees have the right to ask about my personal life? Is Imperial Star very free right now? Do you guys have nothing better to do? Did I arrange too few jobs for you? No. I was just casually asking Miss Hua. President Su, you misunderstood. After speaking, Jian Tong immediately turned around and didn't dare to say another word. She gritted her teeth in anger. She didn't think that Huamin would complain to Suyu and ask Suyu to teach her a lesson. This woman was too despicable. Dr. Hua, are you satisfied with my answer? Suyu turned his head and looked at Huamin with a gentle smile. Very, thank you, President Su. You're joking with me. You don't act like a mother at all. Come on, sit down. The air conditioner is too strong. Don't catch a cold. Then, Suyu helped Huamin sit down and put his jacket on her. His gentle gesture caused another uproar in the studio. At this moment, all the female artists at Imperial Star were so jealous that their eyes almost turned red. Chapter 1761. Not far away, Mian watched the scene unfold with envy and jealousy. That woman wasn't stunning, didn't have a gorgeous aura, and wasn't very young either. She wasn't a movie star either. Yet, she was able to make Suyu listen to her. She was probably the only person in the world who could do that. Mian, aren't you going to propose a toast to President Su? Look, Jian Tong just went over. She even talked to President Su's date. Mian's date beside her teased her. Mian sneered. I'm not as stupid as Jian Tong. If you want to stay here, you need to know your place and be obedient. President Su isn't that easy to win over. Those greedy people will only hurt themselves and others. Mian now knew that it was impossible to seduce Suyu. It was better to be an obedient dog and do whatever it was told to do. Perhaps it was because Jian Tong was too famous and arrogant, so she didn't know what to do when she did things. Yang's celebration party was very grand. His status as Imperial Star's #1 was unparalleled. Yang sang 3 songs, all of which were very good. One of them was a very lyrical song. It was a cover of an actress's Little Luck. At the most emotional part of the song, he turned his head and looked tenderly at Chenjie, who was sitting beside Huamin. So you're the luck that I want to keep the most. We were so close to love. The decision to fight the world for me, the reign with me. Every scene was because of you. Your pure heart. Chenjie was very touched. She nervously clutched her blue pleated dress under the table. In the beginning, Chenjie was afraid to be with Yang because of the difference in their statuses. Later on, no matter what difficulties he encountered, she would silently accompany him. The relationship between the two of them gradually warmed up and stabilized to the point that they were already discussing marriage. Huamian liked these two kids very much because they both had the best of personalities. After Yang finished singing, female celebrities came on stage one after another to perform. Jian Tong was supposed to sing as well, but she left early for some unknown reason, saying that she wasn't feeling well. After Yang got off the stage, he sat down next to Chenjie and chatted with Huamin and the others. During dinner, Huamin got up and went to the bathroom. When she came out, she was blocked at the door. Huamin, long time no see. Huamin raised his head and was slightly startled when he saw who it was. It was Jiang Yi, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Only then did Huamin remember that he was also an artist signed by Imperial Star. However, he was not as popular as Yang because of his age. But I didn't see him at the opening of the concert tonight. According to his status, he should be sitting at the same table as Suyu and the others, or, at the very least, he should be sitting at the same table as Jian Tong, so, Huamin was quite surprised to see him here. What do you want? Huamin glanced at his face. You look beautiful today. Jiang Ye's eyes were filled with amazement. He hadn't seen Huamin in a long time. Today, he saw her in a gown with exquisite makeup on. She was wearing Huamin. He was truly pleasantly surprised. Originally, he didn't want to attend Yang's celebration party. In the morning, Mo Shui said to him in a weird tone, you should go. What if you see the girl of your dreams? This made Jiang Ye's heart flutter. He didn't know what was wrong with him. He was a veteran in love, but his heart was taken over by a little girl. He hadn't seen Huamin for almost a year, but his longing for her only increased. Chapter 1762. Jiang Yi even greedily thought that if Huamin wasn't a genius doctor, Qin Chu's wife, and Suyu's goddess, how nice would it be if she was just an ordinary little girl who could be by his side every day and be spoiled by him. Thank you for the compliment. After Huamin spoke in a distant manner, she turned to leave. Huamin, I heard that Qin Chu is dead. Jiang Ye's straightforward words made Huamin's heart ache. She turned around and looked at him with hostility. You don't have to look at me like that, I'm just stating the truth. Huamin stared at her for a few seconds and suddenly laughed. Mr. Jiang, does my family matter have anything to do with you? It does. I actually wanted to say that if Qin Chu is dead and you're single right now, can I pursue you? Mr. Jiang, you seem to be seriously ill. I suggest you go to Southside Psychiatrist when you're free. The doctors there are very authoritative. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left without looking back. She didn't even want to talk to this boring man. Jiang Yi looked at her slender figure and raised his finger to touch his lips. She's still so unique. I love her to death. What should I do? Jiang Yi finally understood why Hua Xiqian was so obsessed with Huamin. However, he hated Mo Shui, to the core. Mo Shui, was just an empty shell. She was a woman with no substance at all. No woman could keep a man's heart with her beauty. Mo Shui, thought she was smart, but in reality, she was stupid. It was easy to get tired of her. On the other hand, Huamin was a calm and collected woman. She was like a spring breeze that blew directly into the softest part of a person's heart. Compared to Qin Chu, Suyu, and Hua Xiqian, Jiang Yi had no chance of winning. He was just a clown, but he was still willing to love her, just like how one-sided love would also make him feel happy. It was almost 10 o'clock by the time the banquet was over. Huamin and Suyu walked out of the hotel. Just as they were about to get into the car, Huamin's phone rang. Why don't you pick it up? Who's calling? Suyu wondered. It's Hua Xiqian. Looking at the familiar caller ID, Huamin replied coldly. Give it to me. Suyu rushed to take it. Don't worry about him, I won't pick up his calls anymore. Huamin said as he got into the car. Halfway there, Huamin lowered his head and was surprised to see that there was a new video on his phone. It was also from Hua Xiqian. Huamin had a bad premonition. He opened the video and his face turned pale. Suyu, stop the car. Huamin suddenly yelled. Suyu immediately slammed on the brakes, and the car came to a stop by the side of the road. What's wrong? I just remembered that I left something at the hotel. I'll go get it. What is it? It's a handbag. Huamin said in a panic. Really? I'll go get it for you. Then I'll wait for you here. I'll go sit at the bubble tea shop over there. Huamin pointed at the bubble tea shop on the side of the road. No, it's too dangerous for you to be alone. Suyu was worried. I'll be fine. This is a public place, I won't run around. What's the matter? You drive so fast, you'll be back in less than 10 minutes. Okay, don't run around. I'll be back in 8 minutes, Suyu said. Okay. Huamin forced a smile. As soon as Suyu drove off, she immediately hailed a taxi. Miss, where do you want to go? Tianfu Road, the Hua family mansion, Huamin said word by word. Chapter 1763. We're going to the Hua mansion. Miss, what's your relationship with Huamin? Are they relatives? The taxi driver asked nosily. Huamin didn't answer, her mind was filled with images from the video. In the video, Zhu Lingling was lying in a dark room, fast asleep. She was probably drugged. She was only wearing a flimsy nightgown. Hua Xiqian left a message in the video. Mian, I want to see you at home in half an hour, or else. Zhu Lingling will be raped tonight, and the video will be released the next day. Do you think the Gao family will still want her? Will Gao Ren still love her? Huamin's brain was about to explode. She would never let anything happen to Zhu Lingling. She had only been married for a short time. If something happened to Lingling because of her, she would blame herself for the rest of her life. Hua Xiqian, don't do anything rash. I'll be there right away. Huamin didn't even think about it. Even if it was a tiger's den, she would still go. However, she felt sorry for Suyu, because she lied to him again. Sir, can you drive faster? I'm in a hurry. Miss, it's right up ahead, don't worry. When they arrived, Huamin took out 100 yuan and threw it to the taxi driver. Then, she quickly got out of the car. It was already 10 p.m. The Hua mansion was pitch black, as if no one lived there. After Hua Xiqian died, Jiang Hong and Hua Xiqian turned against each other and moved back to her mother's home. Hua Xiqian was the only one left in the huge mansion. He seemed to have a lot of feelings for this place, as if it was his only home. Huamin walked up to the door and pressed the doorbell. To be honest, she was scared. She was scared of Hua Xiqian. She didn't know what would happen if she walked into this house today. But, she had to come. She had to save Lingling. Hua Xiqian, that bastard, only knew how to threaten the people around her. The door slowly opened. Miss, you're back? The person who opened the door was the Hua family's former housekeeper. She knew Hua Min, so she was pleasantly surprised when she saw Hua Min. Hua Min was also a little surprised. Where's Hua Xiqian? Young master is in the study. He'll be down soon. I just finished preparing dinner. Young master said that you'd come back for dinner today. It's true, the nanny was very enthusiastic and invited Hua Min in. The decorations of the Hua mansion were exactly the same as before. After Hua Min walked in, he looked around and didn't find any trace of Ling Ling. He guessed that maybe she wasn't locked up here. Just then, she heard footsteps coming down the stairs. She looked up and saw Hua Xiqian walking down the stairs in a light pink shirt. Mian, you're here, where's Ling Ling? Hua Min asked in a cold voice. Hua Xiqian smiled. Don't worry, she'll be fine, I'm already here. I want you to let her go immediately. I already did. She should be sleeping at home right now. If you don't believe me, you can call her. Upon hearing this, Hua Min immediately took out his phone and dialed Ling Ling's number. He couldn't get through to Ling Ling just now, but now he could. After 3 rings, Zhu Lingling picked up the phone in a daze. Mian, Ling Ling, where are you? I'm sleeping at home, where's Gao Ran? He's on the night shift. He won't be back until morning. Are you okay? I'm fine, what's wrong? It's so late. Zhu Lingling was a little confused. I'm fine, go to sleep. Lock the door and be careful. Then, Hua Min hung up the phone. I didn't lie to you, did I? Hua Xiqian, what on earth do you want? Hua Min stared at Hua Xiqian's face and had a bad feeling. Chapter 1764. Mian, why do you always ask me what I want every time we meet? What do you think I want? You're so smart, how could you not know what I'm thinking? Hua Xiqian sneered. How would I know what the devil is thinking? After all, we're not the same kind of people. Ha, why do I feel like you're full of resentment? Hua Min didn't say anything and only looked at her cautiously. Don't be afraid, I won't do anything to you. If I really wanted your body, you wouldn't be safe and sound right now. It's not like you haven't stayed overnight in this house before. Hua Min was shocked. Then, Hua Xiqian walked towards the dining room. Mian, come and have supper with me. I won't make things difficult for you. I'll also let Zhu Lingling go as we agreed. Don't make me unhappy, or else I won't be so nice next time. Are you threatening me? Hua Min looked at Hua Xiqian angrily. You can take it that way. Hua Min didn't come prepared today, so she didn't have any homemade bombs like last time. Hua Xiqian knew that Hua Min didn't come prepared this time, so he guessed that she wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. Why are you still standing there? Come and eat. Hua Xiqian's eyes were full of love. When can I leave? I told you to wait until after dinner. Hua Xiqian, you have to know, even if I didn't prepare today, so you will find me if he finds out that I'm missing. Hua Min stared into Hua Xiqian's eyes and said, word for word. You're using Suyu to threaten me? Do you think I'm afraid of him? Hua Xiqian smiled, a deep smile on his face. Hua Min didn't say anything. He just looked at her. Mian, everyone says you're smart, but sometimes you're so silly that you're adorable. If I really wanted to do something to you, do you think I'd let Suyu find me? And even if he did find you in time, I would have done everything I could. Just like now, even if I did something to you, you wouldn't be able to resist, right? After he finished speaking, Hua Xiqian stood up and walked over. Before Hua Min could react, he pressed her against the wall with both hands. The two of them faced each other, and the distance between them was extremely close. Hua Min could even hear his own heartbeat. Was this the popular trend on the internet recently, Cabotin? Hua Min wasn't prepared for this at all. Looking at Hua Xiqian at such a close distance, she felt her rationality crumbling bit by bit. Hua Xiqian, I'm warning you, don't do anything rash. Otherwise, I'll immediately die in front of you. Haha, you're still so silly and adorable. But I still love you so much. What should I do? His tone gradually became gentler, as if it was different from usual. His eyes were filled with lust. Hua Min trembled with fear. Hua Xiqian leaned down. Hua Min thought he was going to kiss her, so she tilted her head to avoid him. To her surprise, he only put his head near her neck and greedily inhaled her unique fragrance. Mian, in this world, you're the only one who can make me feel at ease. You make me feel that time is gentle, that time is still, and that life is full of happiness. Mian, am I right? You? Hua Min was just about to speak when Hua Xiqian grabbed her wrist and pulled her to the dining table. Hua Xiqian, let go of me, don't touch me. Hua Min was very resistant to physical contact with Hua Xiqian. It was especially disgusting. So, she struggled with all her might. Chapter 1765. Be a good girl and eat. We won't talk about anything else today, just eat supper with me, that's all. After speaking, Hua Xiqian sat down across from Hua Min. There was a seafood feast on the table, with a giant Boston lobster in the middle of the table. Hua Xiqian picked up the soup bowl, filled it with seafood soup, and placed it in front of Hua Min. Drink it while it's hot, it tastes really good. After speaking, Hua Xiqian began to eat. His movements were elegant and slow. Just like every other time they ate, he looked like a well-mannered gentleman. However, Hua Min knew that this wasn't his true self. Hua Min sat across from her but didn't move at all. To be honest, she had no appetite in front of Hua Xiqian. She couldn't eat anything, even if she was hungry, she wouldn't be interested in these delicacies. Hua Xiqian didn't seem to care about this awkward situation. All he wanted was for Hua Min to sit across from him. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to kidnap Zhu Lingling in exchange for a chance to eat with her. In other people's eyes, his love and methods might be pitiful, but he was very satisfied with it. No matter what the process was, the result was what he wanted. Today, he just wanted Hua Min to have a simple meal with him. Mian, I have a lot of work to do at the company recently, sometimes I wonder why I'm so busy. I have more money than I can spend in this lifetime, and I've proven my worth. I can make more money, but what's the point of living like this, day after day, year after year? Is this the life I want? Hua Min didn't say anything, he just listened quietly. The new female secretary has big breasts, but you can tell they're made of silicone at a glance. Her face is not bad, and her education is good as well. She's just a little too bitchy. You know that I've never lacked women, so I wasn't interested in her at all. I directly sent her to the public relations department. The company has been training female artists recently, and the auditions have also started. The judges are each more disgusting than the last. Not only do they want money, they even want to sleep with the newcomers. One is willing to be beaten, and the other is willing to be beaten, but they're actually willing to offer their bodies. Isn't a woman's first time the most precious thing? Are money and power that important? Hua Min still didn't say anything, he just listened to Hua Xiqian talk to himself. After Mayor Yan took office, he changed a lot of policies and is very close to the entrepreneurs in the city. I can tell that he wants to make some achievements to shut the mouths of the higher-ups. He has a daughter who's really retarded. Her IQ is low, and she needs to recharge. She really thinks she's the second Song Yisher. But to be honest, even if she's that kind of woman, I wouldn't fuck her in bed because I'm not interested. After saying a lot, Hua Min still didn't say anything. Hua Xiqian picked up his glass of red wine and took a sip. Then, he looked up and asked gently, "How about you, Mian? Have you been well this past year?" Haha, have I been well? Do you need to ask such a question? Do you think I've been well? Hua Min looked at him with a cold smile. You're still blaming me for your Qin Chu's death. But have you thought about it? He's not the only one for you. He's too selfish and only cares about himself. He doesn't care about your feelings at all. All I have to do is threaten him, and he'll divorce you immediately. A man like that is so unreliable. I don't understand why you still like him. Hua Xiqian's voice was a little agitated. Chapter 1766. Shut up? I won't let you talk about him like that. Qin Chu is the person who loves me the most in the world. He's not selfish, he loves me so much that he's always thinking about me. That's why you're using him. He loves me so much that he doesn't say anything. He just quietly does everything for me while he suffers pain that normal people can't endure. I owe Qin Chu so much. I'm willing to use my entire life to repay him. If I don't have the chance in this life, then I'll wait for the next one. Haha, so you're not moved by Suyu? Hua Xiqian asked with a smile. Suyu, he's been through life and death situations with me. He'll always be my most important friend, so you're just friends? Ha, then Suyu seems to be even more pitiful than me. I've done so many things to hurt you, but you're willing to remember me for the rest of your life out of hatred? But he's done so much for you, but he's only a friend? So I'll never be as stupid as him, seeing that he can't get what he likes, but still silently giving it his all. Everyone is different. To be honest, no matter how rich or powerful you are, you'll never be as open-minded and broad-minded as Suyu. You're destined to be stuck in your own corner for the rest of your life. You're just a narrow-minded person. Haha, well said. So what if I'm a narrow-minded person? I don't care what other people think of me. In this world, you're the only one I care about. You're wrong, you only care about yourself, Hua Min immediately retorted. Fine, every time we argue, we can't come to a conclusion. I'm too lazy to argue with you. Hurry up and eat, the food's getting cold. I'm not eating. Are you afraid that I'll drug you? Hua Xiqian chuckled. Hua Min remained silent. Just then, one of Hua Xiqian's subordinates came in with a report. Boss. Suyu's people are on their way here. They'll be here in 5 minutes. They really don't let me have a peaceful meal. Su picked up a wet towel and wiped his hands. Then, he slightly stood up. What are you doing? Huamin looked at him warily. What? Are you afraid that I'll hurt him? Your knight? Hua Xiqian, I'm warning you, don't do anything stupid. Su is the only grandson of the Su family. If he does anything to you, you'll die a horrible death. Huamin warned. Don't scare me, I'm not scared. Mian, don't play mind games with me. I'm not an idiot, I won't fall for it. After speaking, Hua Xiqian stood up and left, but before he could reach the door, with a bang, the door was kicked open. Su entered the room with an ashen face. The first thing he saw was Huamin standing there unscathed. Behind him was An and a few of his subordinates. There weren't many of them, but they came prepared. An was a very low-key assistant. Huamin noticed that he had been by Su Yu's side for the longest time. He didn't look good and didn't have outstanding business skills, but, for Su Yu to be able to stay so close to him, there must be something special about him. Seeing that Huamin was fine, Su Yu immediately let out a sigh of relief, then, without another word, he walked over, grabbed Huamin's arm, and walked out. Mian, are you okay? I'm fine. Huamin shook her head. Okay, as long as you're fine, let's go home. Su Yu tightly held on to Huamin's wrist, as if he was afraid that she would disappear at any moment. Just as they were about to reach the door, they were suddenly stopped by someone. What's the meaning of this? How dare you stop me? Su Yu turned around and looked coldly at Hua Xiqian. Chapter 1767. Hua Xiqian looked at him with a smile. President Su, don't be in such a hurry. Let's take things as they come. I just don't want to have too much to do with people like you, but I don't let people come and go as they please. Why don't we have a fight? I heard you have good stamina. Hua Xiqian rolled up his sleeves and laughed. Su Yu sneered. You want to fight me? Are you sure? I know you were in the special forces. I heard you're good at fighting, so I've always wanted to give it a try. Hua Xiqian had been angry ever since he was beaten up by Su Yu in front of everyone at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. However, he couldn't fight back because of his pride, but that didn't mean he let it go. Now seemed like a good opportunity for revenge. Tell me first, how many of you are coming at me together? Su Yu looked at Hua Xiqian with contempt. President Su, you must be joking. Of course it's one-on-one. I don't like to bully others with numbers. Very well, I'm going to beat the crap out of you today. Su Yu let go of Huamin's hand. Su Yu, don't fight with him, what if it's a trap? Huamin reminded him in a low voice. It's okay, don't be afraid. Wait for me on the side. After I deal with him, we'll go home. Su Yu gently comforted Huamin. Hua Xiqian slowly unbuttoned his shirt, then, he threw his shirt on the ground. Boss. His subordinates behind him began to worry. When we start fighting, no one is allowed to take half a step forward. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Su Yu turned around and looked at An and the others. I'll take care of my own business, don't worry about it. President Su. An was a little worried. It's okay. After that, Su Yu clenched his fists, and his eyes were filled with a sharpness that had never been seen before. It had been a long time since he had fought. He did not know if his skills were still as good as before, but he was confident that he would let Hua Xiqian have a taste of his prowess. Come on. Hua Xiqian gestured at Su Yu with his finger, his tone full of provocation. Su Yu was instantly enraged. He rushed forward and threw a punch. Huamin watched from the side with fear in his heart. This was a brutal fight, and it was bare-handed. It was a competition of speed, strength, reaction, and resistance. Hua Xiqian wasn't as weak as he had imagined. Instead, he was quite skilled and his punches were steady. Su Yu's attacks were extremely ruthless. He wanted to cripple Hua Xiqian with every move, but his reaction was surprisingly fast. More than 10 minutes had passed, but he still hadn't hurt the other party at all. Everyone was becoming more and more cautious. Huamin stood on the side and listened as An whispered, Hua Xiqian's fighting skills are not simple. It's an advanced fighting technique trained by the Israeli Special Forces. It's very powerful and very technical. It won't be easy for President Su to win. As he spoke, Su Yu was suddenly punched in the stomach. He gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. Huamin, on the other hand, was terrified. Su Yu, be careful. Huamin couldn't help but blurt out. Hua Xiqian raised his hand and kissed his finger. He looked at Huamin and smiled. Mian, you're so biased. I've known you for so long, but not only did you not cheer for me, you even cheered for my opponent. It really makes me sad. Hua Xiqian, cut the crap. Hurry up and finish this fight with your grandpa. Su Yu really hated the way Hua Xiqian harassed Huamin. He thought that Hua Xiqian was a complete pervert. After speaking, Su Yu rushed up again, his movements fast and accurate. Chapter 1768. This intense battle lasted for an hour and 40 minutes. everyone stood around and watched quietly, but no one dared to get involved. Hua Min's heart was in her mouth the entire time. She was afraid that Suyu would get hurt, because Hua Xiqian didn't look that weak. In the end, Suyu and Hua Xiqian were both drenched in sweat, covered in wounds, and exhausted. Hua Xiqian wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth. Suyu, you're awesome, you guys can go now. Suyu reached out his hand to wipe the sweat off his face, then, he turned his head, endured the pain, and grabbed Hua Min's hand to walk out. After they got into the car, Hua Min immediately asked, "How are you feeling? Are your injuries serious? Do you need to go to the hospital?" "I'm fine, it's not serious, just some superficial wounds. I'll go home and bandage them myself." "I'll drive you home first, then go home." "No. I'll go home with you first and bandage your wounds. Then, I'll go home. I can do it myself." Suyu smiled helplessly. "I'm a doctor, you can't be more professional than I am," Hua Min ordered forcefully. Okay. Dr. Hua, please don't be angry, I'll listen to you." In the end, Suyu couldn't argue with Hua Min, so he drove directly to Suyu's private mansion. After Hua Min entered, she immediately took out the first aid kit, then, she helped Suyu take off his pure white shirt. The moment she took off his shirt, Hua Min's heart began to hurt slightly. His front and back were bruises. Although there weren't any bleeding wounds, these internal injuries were more serious. They couldn't be seen with the naked eye, but they were very painful. She took out iodophor and carefully wiped the bruises on his body. Suyu didn't dare to cry out in pain, because he didn't want Hua Min to worry. He just sat there with his back straight, not moving at all. Hua Min's fingers would occasionally accidentally touch his skin, creating a slight ripple in his heart. Hua Xiqian is unexpectedly trash, he's learned martial arts, and he's very professional. Suyu commented, he never does anything he's not confident in. If he dared to fight you one-on-one, he wouldn't let you beat him, Hua Min added. Your analysis is very good, it seems like you know him well. I've known him for many years. His personality is strange and changeable. But no matter what, he can't change his conceited nature. Fortunately, you're good at fighting. Otherwise, if you were injured? Suyu said. Min's words, Hua Min, what will you do? Suyu asked. Mean, to Hua to my, Hua, Mian s, Min. Upon hearing the word, friend, Suyu's eyes flashed with disappointment. After Hua Min quickly disinfected Suyu, he applied medicine, wiped the alcohol off his wounds, and finally wrapped a bandage around his wounds. Although there aren't any destructive wounds, you still need to be careful not to touch water. It'll heal faster, and if you bathe, don't soak in it for too long. Got it, Dr. Hua. Suyu smiled. You should rest early, I'm going back. I'll drive you. It's okay, you're injured, don't worry about it. Let him drive me, Hua Min said. Okay, you should rest early too. The 1-month-old party is the day after tomorrow. There will be a lot of people at home, you'll be busy. Okay. Hua Min then followed and out of Suyu's mansion. Although Suyu was injured, it was worth it to have Hua Min personally bandage his wounds. After Hua Min left, Suyu lay in bed, unable to fall asleep. Chapter 1769. After Hua Min sent him away today, he felt that something was wrong, but he didn't suspect anything. When he arrived at the hotel and didn't find any handbag, he realized that he had fallen into a trap. When he returned, Hua Min was nowhere to be found. He immediately got someone to investigate Hua Min's call records and text messages. Then, he brought people to Hua Xiqian's house. Fortunately, Hua Min was fine. Otherwise, he would hate him. He didn't know when it started, but protecting Hua Min seemed to have become a responsibility and a habit of his. It was as if he felt that it was only right for him to protect her. Before falling asleep, Suyu held his phone and looked at the exclusive photo of Hua Min that he had taken. It was a photo of Hua Min when he was a doctor. He was wearing a white coat and black-rimmed glasses. Although he looked old-fashioned, in Suyu's eyes, he was very cute. Thinking back to the time he had known Hua Min, she was the most interesting person he had met in the hospital. She was fierce, like a tigress, and taught Suyu a lesson. There's a saying that goes, what is love? Everything has its vanquisher. Suyu felt that even if he was the king, he would still be defeated by Hua Min. He leaned closer to the phone screen, closed his eyes, and gently kissed the lips of the girl in the photo. Then, he gently muttered to himself, good night, Dr. Hua. On the way back, Onlyan drove Suyu's Lamborghini to send Hua Min back. He drove very slowly. Hua Min sat in the passenger seat, thinking about something. Actually, I've never seen President Su fight so fiercely. Ever since he retired from the army, he hasn't shown his skills in such a high-profile manner, and said slowly, yeah. It's the first time I've seen him like this. I'm so scared. If anything happens to him, how am I supposed to explain it to Lord Su and the others? I'm so scared, President Su will be fine, he's very strong. I thought President Su would single-handedly crush Hua Xiqian, but I didn't expect that guy to have some skills as well. Anyway, both of them didn't hold back in today's fight and it was a satisfying fight. President Su is injured, but Hua Xiqian isn't any better. I can guarantee that he'll be more injured than President Su, no less. Hua Min tilted his head and smiled at him. You have so much confidence in Su Yu. Yeah, I admired him so much that I volunteered to be his bodyguard. Later, I realized that his character was more worthy of my respect. I'm also a retired Special Forces soldier. When I was a new recruit, he was already a legend in the military. Unfortunately, later what? Nothing, it's just a pity that President Su retired from the military so early. I thought he'd stay in the military for the rest of his life, just like Lord Su. Hua Mi knew very little about Su Yu's past. He only knew that Su Yu had been in the military for many years, but he didn't know what Su Yu had experienced. Maybe it was because he didn't love him that he was never interested in his past. When they got home, the twins were already asleep. Yang Meirong sat in Hua Min's room and looked at the twins. Why did you come home so late? Oh, I was having so much fun that I forgot the time. Did the twins fight? No, Pudding was a little naughty? She seems to be very sensitive? She kept looking left and right, but when she didn't see you in the room, she started crying. I held her and comforted her. It seems like Pudding is a little smart. Her EQ is even higher than Pudding's. Hua Min laughed. Mian, the day after tomorrow is your 1-month birthday party, right? How many people did you invite? Do I need to prepare anything for you? Chapter 1770. Hua Min thought for a while and nodded. Actually, there won't be many people. I don't have many friends, just a few. Mom, don't worry about me. Besides, we're still living in the Su family. How can we have a grand celebration like our own home? A small gathering is good enough. They're still young. There's no need to be so extravagant. Yang Meirong agreed with Hua Min and nodded. That's good too. You're right. I didn't think too much. The Su family is already so good to you. We can't be too high profile. Hua Min walked over and kissed the twins gently. Then, he went to bed. The day of the 1-month celebration arrived in the blink of an eye. Hua Min and Su Yu bought all the necessities in advance. That morning, Hua Min, Mother Su, and his own mother led the Su family's nanny to dress up. They blew up all kinds of balloons and hung all kinds of decorations. It seemed easy, but it was not easy at all. However, everyone seemed to be looking forward to it and was very busy. Father Su and Master Lord Su had already arranged the time in advance. They were especially prepared to celebrate the twins' 1-month celebration at home. They were very fond of this day. Master Lord Su and Father Su each hugged one of the twins and played with them. From afar, it did not seem out of place. So you came home early too? He saw the scene as soon as he entered the house. Father Su lowered his head gently and whispered in the baby's ear. Baby, call Grandpa. Call Grandpa. Ahem. Dad, let me explain. 1-month-old babies don't know how to talk yet. So you pretended to cough to remind his father. Do I not need you to tell me that? Father Su rolled his eyes at him. Su Yu, I was just teasing the kids. You took it seriously. Your brain is getting dumber. Father Su reprimanded. Su Yu, all right. Su Yu felt that he was overthinking. His father and grandfather were so strict. How could their hearts melt when they saw the twins? Everyone in the Su family liked the twins. They were a pair of clowns. Grandpa, give me a hug? I haven't hugged enough. Why don't you ask your father for more? Master Lord Su declined politely. Dad, is that Pudding or Little Bean in your arms? Let me hug them. Go away, have you washed your hands? Do you know that your hands are full of bacteria? Moreover, you don't even know how to carry a child. Every time you carry a child, I see that the child is more uncomfortable than you. You should quickly stay away. With that, Mr. Su carried the baby and walked towards the window. Where was Su Yu now? Extremely awkward? In the Su family, he, Su Yu, was actually despised by someone. There's no other way. Su Yu got up and went upstairs. He saw Hua Min standing on a stool hanging balloons at the door, and his heart immediately softened. How can I let you do such a thing? It doesn't matter. It's not high anyway. Hua Min smiled. That won't do either. Come down, I'll do it. Before Hua Min could say anything, Su Yu forcefully pulled her down. Then, he stood on top of her. Everyone arrived one after another. When it was time for lunch, almost everyone was there. Is it almost time? I'll ask the kitchen to serve the food, Su Yu asked. Wait a minute, there's still one person who's not here. Hua Min said softly, huh? Who's not here? Su Yu looked around in confusion. Jiang Xiaowei, Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Enai Yang, Chen Jie, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Rick. They were all here. And Cece isn't here yet. She'll probably be here soon. Huamin purposely glanced at Rick. When he heard Cece's name, his eyes flashed slightly. Chapter 1771. Upon hearing Cece's name, everyone immediately knew what was going on. Everyone had a tacit understanding and looked at Rick. He lowered his head and didn't say anything. Just then, Huamin received a WeChat message. She glanced at it and then looked up at Suyu. Cece's here. She's at the door. Go and receive her, or she won't be able to come in. Okay. Suyu nodded and immediately stood up. Rick also stood up slowly. Huamin, I have something else to do. I'll go now. I'll come see the babies another day. Rick, why are you hiding from Cece? Huamian asked directly, not at all bothered by the crowd. Rick, on the other hand, didn't expect Huamian to be so direct. I just think it's better not to see her in this situation. But, do you plan on avoiding her forever? Rick fell silent. Mian, I think you shouldn't make it too hard for Rick. After all, it's not good for them to see each other right now. Zhu Lingling was a gossipy person. After finding out that Rick and Cece had broken up, she pitied the poor couple. Zhu Lingling thought that both of them needed time. Plus, she didn't know what was wrong with Huamin today. Why was she being so aggressive? I'm not making it hard for Rick. I just think it's better to solve some things face to face so that there won't be any regrets. Huamin replied word by word. Jiang Xiaowei looked at Huamin in surprise. She was curious about her behavior today, but after thinking about it, she knew what she wanted. Then, she smiled and said, Rick, Mian's right. If there's any misunderstanding, let's sit down and talk about it. Plus, the little princess's 1-month-old celebration is such a happy event. It's meaningless for you to leave like this. Let's sit down and have some fun. What do you think? Huamin and Jiang Xiaowei spoke at the same time. Rick, who wasn't good with words, had no choice but to sit down. Just then, Suyu walked in with Cece. Everyone greeted him warmly. Huamin walked over and held Cece's hand, letting her sit beside him. Although they were far away from each other, they were indeed face to face. They could see each other just by looking up. Cece wasn't surprised to see Rick, because she knew that this was the last chance that Huamin had painstakingly fought for her. She tried to smile at him, but Rick didn't even look up. Now that everyone is here, can we start eating? Huamin looked at Suyu. Suyu nodded and ordered the kitchen to serve the dishes immediately. Since many of them were not familiar with Lord Su, they were divided into 2 tables. The elders sat at one table, and the juniors sat at another table. Huamin and her friends sat at one table, while Mrs. Huamin and Mrs. Lord Su sat at the other table with their kids. This way, they wouldn't disturb each other. Huamin didn't have to take care of the kids, so he could chat with everyone. Tang Chuan and Zhu Lingling were both lively people. With them around, there would never be an awkward silence. However, Rick was the type of person who didn't talk at all. He didn't eat much, nor did he talk. He just sat there quietly. Cece kept looking at Rick, but he didn't look at her. Huamin saw how anxious Cece was. During the meal, Huamin stood up on purpose. Cece, come with me to the bathroom. Okay. Cece nodded and followed Huamin upstairs. Mian, what should I do? I feel like Rick doesn't want to talk to me. He won't even look at me. It's not that he doesn't want to look, he doesn't dare to. Huamin smiled. Do you have any ideas? Cece asked anxiously. Stay in my room and don't move. I'll think of a way to get him to come up to you. The rest is up to you, Huamin said. Cece nodded and seemed to have made up her mind. Then, Huamin shouted from the 2nd floor, help. Cece fainted. As soon as he said that, Rick ran up the stairs at lightning speed. Chapter 1772. Huamin, where is she? Rick asked nervously. She's in my room. Go in and take a look, Huamin lied without thinking. Today, she finally realized how good she was at acting. Seeing Rick rush in, Huamin smiled proudly. When she went downstairs, everyone was dumbfounded. Dr. Hua, what's going on? Tang Chuan asked. Nothing, eat your food. Huamin smiled. My wife was right. It seems like Goddess Hua is trying to set them up today. Wei Liao chuckled. Yes. Your wife is always right. She's the smartest. Then, Huamin added, hey, you're slightly better. You taught her well. Huamin rarely joked around like this. Everyone burst into laughter. Wei Liao was a little embarrassed. Huamian sat down and picked up a piece of liangpi with her chopsticks. She was about to eat when Suyu slapped her chopsticks away. What do you mean? Huamin looked at Suyu in confusion. You're just out of confinement. Don't eat something so cold. Huamin was speechless. Everyone knew what was going on. So you had been gentle with Huamin for a long time. Everyone was used to it. Upstairs, in Huamin's bedroom. When Rick rushed in, he saw Cece standing there unharmed. Rick knew that Huamin had planned this. He was a little embarrassed. Just as he was about to leave, Cece called out to him. Rick, what's up? Do you really hate me so much that you want to leave as soon as you see me? Cece was a little heartbroken. I think, we've made ourselves clear enough, haven't we? Rick replied calmly. Cece gathered her courage and walked over to Rick's side. Rick, I have to explain to you. I really didn't do it. I didn't betray Huamin on purpose. It really wasn't me? Rick didn't say anything and just kept silent. You don't believe me at all. Do you think I'm that despicable? You even betrayed your own friends? Cece questioned. There's no point in talking about this now, Cece. It really doesn't matter anymore, Rick said casually. Cece, on the other hand, was devastated. She walked up to Rick with tears in her eyes. But this is very important to me. It's the happiness of my life. Rick, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so naive. I shouldn't have made the decision to look for Huamin. I almost killed her and the baby. I really didn't do it on purpose. Please don't be angry, okay? Like a child, Cece tugged at the corner of Rick's shirt and sobbed as she apologized. Cece, you don't have to apologize. It's not your fault. No, I know I was wrong. Rick, can we not break up? I really don't want to leave you. This is the first time I've loved someone so seriously. Cece abandoned her dignity as a girl and confessed her feelings to Rick. To be honest, Rick was struggling in his heart. He didn't want to drag an innocent girl like Cece down with him. He didn't want to waste her youth. He didn't want to be with her forever. Therefore, he bit the bullet and said, Cece, I think I've made myself clear. Let's not waste any more time. I still have things to do. I'll leave first. Then, Rick abruptly walked away, shaking off Cece's hand that was tugging at his shirt. Cece felt completely disheartened. When Rick was about to step out of the door, she couldn't help but cry and ask, Rick, tell me, have you ever loved me? Is our love a one-man show? Am I the only one who gets high? What am I to you? Trash? Can you throw me away just like that? Yes. Tell me. After hearing Cece's question, Rick felt a slight pain in his heart. Chapter 1773. Say something, don't run away. Cece yelled at Rick's back. Rick slowly turned around and looked at her with a complicated expression. In the end, he only said 5 words, Cece, I'm sorry. I don't need your apology. You didn't do anything wrong, Rick. I don't want to lose you, I really don't. Mion told me that you're going back to the States, and I haven't been sleeping well for the past few days. I keep having nightmares about you leaving me. I'm really sad. I feel like if I don't say it now, I won't have the chance to say it. I don't want to treat love as a lonely game between a man and a woman. I'm serious, I think, you're the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I don't care what your status is, what your background is, Rick, as long as you still want to be with me, even if you're homeless, I won't abandon you. Really, please believe me, even though I'm young and don't have much experience, but I'm not a fickle person. I'm not a child, I know that love is something that lasts a lifetime. I really envy the love between Chin Chu and Huamin. They were childhood sweethearts and were together when they were young. After so many years, they can still be together. I really want to find a time machine and travel back in time to be with you. Cece said a lot of things in one breath, but Rick's expression didn't change. The truth was, even if Rick's heart was in turmoil, he would still look calm on the surface. Therefore, at this moment, no one could tell anything from his expression. Cece. Rick opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. Cece was a prideful person. She thought that Rick wanted to politely reject her, but he was too embarrassed to say it because he didn't want to hurt her. Therefore, in an instant, her heart sank to the bottom. It seems like, you really don't care. Even if I confess to you like an idiot and bare my heart to you, you can still be so calm and indifferent. Actually, Rick was about to say something, but Cece interrupted him again. I understand, you don't have to say anything. I understand. Rick, no matter what, I still want to thank you. Then, Cece walked up to him, stood on her tiptoes, and gently kissed Rick on the cheek. Bless you, goodbye. Then, before Rick could say anything, Cece turned around and ran away. Tears flew everywhere. She stumbled down the stairs and fell down at the top of the stairs. Huamin reacted quickly and immediately got up to help her. Cece, are you okay? Huamin looked at Cece. The moment she raised her head, her face was already covered in tears. Mion, thank you for giving me one last chance to see him. I have no regrets. After saying that, Cece ran away in a hurry, ignoring the wound on her hand. She opened the door and ran out. It looks like the negotiation has fallen through? Tang Chuan gossiped. Everyone looked at each other and didn't respond. At this moment, Huamin raised his head and saw Rick slowly walking down the stairs with a heavy heart. She's gone, Huamin said. Rick nodded, feeling extremely conflicted. Although this was clearly the result he wanted, he still felt mentally and physically exhausted after reaching this point. Especially when he saw Cece's tears, he almost couldn't take it anymore. Are you leaving now? Huamin looked at Rick calmly and asked. Rick nodded. Then I'll walk you out, I have something to talk to you about. After speaking, Huamin walked to the door and opened it. Rick silently followed behind him. TSK, this is a difficult situation. Do you think Dr. Hua can persuade him? I bet 1,000 yuan that he can. Who else wants to bet? Tang Chuan asked nosily. Chapter 1774. I bet 5,000 yuan that Huamin will win. Wei Liao laughed. Ahem, I'm all in. Huamin will win for sure. Gao Ran was also full of confidence. You guys are so spineless, why are you looking down on Rick? Is he that weak? How can he be fooled by Mian with just a few words? Zhu Lingling yelled. So, Mrs. Gao, are you betting on Rick to win? Tang Chuan laughed. Of course not. As Mian's best friend, I'll always support her unconditionally. Zhu Lingling laughed. Damn, I thought you were a spineless person, but you're still the same. Tang Chuan laughed. Ni Yang and Chen Jie didn't say anything, they just watched the show. He was a bit calm, so he didn't mess around like Tang Chuan and the others. Where's Mian? Lord Su asked. Oh, she's seeing her friend out. She'll be back soon. You guys didn't get along, is everything okay? The elders didn't know what happened, they just saw a girl crying and leaving. They thought something happened. It's fine, don't worry, Huamin can handle it. Suyu was also confident. That's good. Then, Lord Su and the others continued to play with the baby, chat, and eat. Huamin and Rick strolled down the heavily guarded path in the Su family's manner. You've really decided? Rick tilted his head and looked at Huamin. You mean me and Cece? Who else? Huamin was obviously not happy. Maybe it's over. Rick sighed slightly. After being in China for so many years, he used Huamin's deep words perfectly, he even knew how to use the phrase over. I don't think so, I think it's up to us. We can't just blame everything that happens to us on fate. It's actually a form of escape. Rick didn't say anything, he felt that he was no match for Huamin in terms of language and intelligence. Therefore, he gave up resisting and allowed Huamin to judge. Rick, what do you think is the most precious thing in life? Huamin's question startled Rick slightly. Rick was at a loss for words. Huamin continued, many people think that the most precious thing in a person's life is something they can't get or something they've already lost, because they never had it. Then, Huamian glanced at Rick and said, but I think it's because humans are greedy and don't know how to be satisfied. In fact, the most important thing in life is to cherish what you have now. Unfortunately, many people don't realize it and only sigh after they lose it. Some people even think of the girl they loved when they were young when their hair was white. Is that fun? Huamin, what are you trying to say? Just say it, Rick said quietly. Huamin looked at him helplessly and then sighed slightly. There are more than 6 billion people on Earth and the chances of two people meeting and falling in love are very low. It's all about fate. It's not easy. Qin Chu and I have been separated for 7 years and it's been a torture. The only thing I regret now is that I didn't spend more time with him. Now that I want to, I don't know if I'll have the chance. Rick, you can't lie to me. You still love Cece, but you don't think you can give her happiness. Leaving her is the best blessing for her. But don't you know that to Cece, having you by her side is her greatest happiness? Just like when Qin Chu was forced to divorce and was threatened by Hua Xiqian, he thought he was doing it for me. But in fact, in this world, the person I care about the most is Qin Chu. He thinks he's doing it for me, but he's not. At least, I'd rather die. I don't want to divorce him. I want to be Mrs. Qin for the rest of my life. Huamin. Rick was slightly moved. Rick, men and women are different. In love, men often think that if you love me, you won't leave. Women, on the other hand, think that if you love me, you'll come and find me. So in the end, you didn't ask her to stay and she didn't turn back. Now, you just need to tell me, do you still love Cece? Chapter 1775. Rick hesitated for 3 seconds and then nodded. Yes. Then you should know what to do. Although you have a cold personality, you are definitely not cold-blooded and heartless. I believe that you will know what to do. As your friend, I sincerely hope that you don't miss out on a girl whom you deeply love and who loves you at the same time. After all, in this world, not all adoration will be passionately reciprocated, and not all deep feelings will not be disappointed. After Huamin finished speaking, he turned around and left without even saying goodbye. However, Rick seemed to have understood something as he looked at Huamin's back gratefully. Huamin, thank you, he muttered to himself. On the way back, everyone was smiling at Huamin. She was baffled by his actions. What are you guys laughing at? What's going on? Huamin asked. Tell us first, how are you doing as a peacemaker? Did you convince Rick? Tang Chuan smiled mysteriously. Ah, that's hard to say. Rick is slow to warm up. Even if he understands what I say, it's hard to say how he'll carry it out. Damn, don't you think you can handle it in a matter of minutes? I'm not the Virgin Mary, how can I be omnipotent? Huamin rolled his eyes at Tang Chuan. Young Master Tang, how's the marriage going? Wei Liao smiled. No way, don't even think about it if you want me to marry that damn fatty, haha, then when are we going to attend the wedding? Wei Liao teased him. God knows when, eh? That soon. Isn't this the year of the monkey? If it's the year of the monkey, is the 7th of the 12 zodiacs in July? This July? Fuck you, it's already November, okay? Tang Chuan teased. The full moon celebration wasn't that grand, which was what Huamin wanted. The little princess fell asleep after drinking milk. Huamin sent his friends off one after another. When she came back, Suyu asked gently, are you tired today? Not bad. Huamin smiled. Then you should go to sleep. Otherwise, you won't have time to rest when they wake up in the afternoon. Pudding seems to be looking for you. She'll cry if she doesn't see you. Yes, eldest brother, you're a little smarter. It's amazing that you can recognize your mother within a month. Second brother, you're a little more obedient. Eat, sleep, eat, haha. At the mention of his daughters, Huamin's eyes were filled with happiness. Go to sleep then. I'm going to the company. All right. Huamin nodded. After taking a few steps, Suyu suddenly thought of something. He turned around and said, don't worry, Hua Xiqian is under my watch. I won't let him do anything despicable. Also, if he finds any clues, we'll know immediately. If Qin Chu is really fine and Hua Xiqian finds out, we'll know too. Don't worry, I'll help you find him. Suyu cared too much about Huamin, so he was able to see through her expression. Although Huamin was happy today, she was still a little out of it. Suyu felt that Hua Xiqian's words gave Huamin a glimmer of hope. Therefore, he was already helping her investigate. Suyu, you don't have to do this. You've been so good to me. I might not be able to repay you in this lifetime, I don't want you to repay me. I know, but I blame myself. I owe you too much, really too much. I'm afraid I can't bear it. No, you can, because, your name is Huamin. After speaking, Suyu turned around and left, leaving Huamin behind, worried. Su family mansion. As soon as Huamin entered the house, he was called to the study by Lord Su. Master Lord Su, do you want me to play chess with you? Huamin smiled. With his hands clasped behind his back, the old man looked at Huamian solemnly and asked word by word, Mian, if I win this time, will you agree to be Yu's wife? Huamin's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Chapter 1776. Huamin never thought that Lord Su would suddenly say something like this, so he was very shocked. Lord Su. Don't be in a hurry to answer, let's play a game of chess first. Then, Lord Su sat down and began playing chess. Huamin sat across from Lord Su and slowly played chess as well, but his mind was full of thoughts. Lord Su slowly picked up a chess piece and placed it down. Then, he slowly said, Mian, actually, what I said to you today is just my personal opinion. Yu's parents don't want me to say this because they want you to think that I, as an elder, am nosy and worrying for nothing. I don't think that way, Lord Su. Yu is the only grandson of the Su family, but we didn't spoil him. When he was young, we set up rules and regulations for him. Then, he joined the army for many years. He suffered a lot and went through a lot of hardships to achieve what he has today. The year he came back, he said that he wanted to start a company, and we were against it. I told him to think of his own way to start a company, and the Su family bank wouldn't give him a single cent. Guess what happened next? Lord Su looked at Huamin with a smile. Did he think of his own way to get investments? Huamin asked. You could say that, he's not stupid. He looked at a few empty lots in the suburbs. He took out his retirement money from his years in the army, as well as his New Year's money and pocket money to buy a piece of land. In less than half a year, the government renovated and occupied the land, making him a few million. Then, he used it to invest in stocks, and in less than 2 months, it multiplied several times. When he had tens of millions in his hands, he started to register a company. He did everything himself, and when he was done, he got a loan from our bank to expand the company. In less than 5 years, the company became a leading enterprise, and this kid's net worth is now in the billions. Lord Su's tone was full of praise and pride. It was obvious that he loved his grandson and had always been proud of Suyu. Suyu, he does have a brain. Huamin nodded sincerely. When it comes to relationships, I rarely ask about them. After all, that's his private matter. That's why I didn't blame him when he was rumored to have an affair with a celebrity or spent the night with a model. He's young, after all. It's easy for him to be confused and impulsive. I thought it would be better if he calmed down. Then, until you appeared. At this point, Master Lord Su raised his head and slowly put down a chess piece. Then, he looked at Huamin meaningfully. Huamin lowered his head and carefully dealt with Lord Su's ingenious setup. At the same time, he was contemplating the purpose of this conversation. Your appearance has completely changed him, Lord Su. I'm actually very sorry. I never wanted to change Suyu. I've always treated the people around me in my own way, Huamin explained patiently. It's precisely because of this that he was moved by you. You didn't care about his identity, you didn't try to curry favor with him, you didn't try to play hard to get, you didn't try to get close to him, you wanted something? That's why he saw your honest personality and was attracted to you, Lord Su. I'm not as good as you make me out to be. I'm also not as good as Suyu thinks. I have a lot of flaws too. I also love the road, I'm also a little pretentious sometimes. When I see injustice, I'll act like a Mary Sue and pretend to be a saint. When I'm stressed, I'll throw a tantrum and look for trouble. The problem isn't that he likes you because you're good. It's that he thinks you're the best because he likes you. Master Lord Su's words left Huamin speechless. Mian, I know you're married, and I know something happened to your lover. Tell me the truth today. If your lover doesn't come back and really dies, are you willing to give you a chance? Master Lord Su asked very seriously. His eyes were filled with incomparable sincerity and anticipation. Chapter 1777. After a long silence, Huamin slowly opened his mouth. Master Lord Su, I'm sorry, I'm afraid my answer will disappoint you. What I wanted to say is that I believe that my lover is still alive. He'll come back for me, and I'll always wait for him. Even if he's really dead, I'll take care of the baby for the rest of my life. I won't remarry. My lover, Qin Chu, was the first man I fell in love with when I was young. He was my first love, and he's the only one I've ever loved. I don't want to cast a layer of dust on our relationship. I can't forget him, and if I marry Suyu out of gratitude or something else, I'll not only let myself down, but I'll also let Suyu down. He's such an excellent man, and he deserves a better woman who loves him wholeheartedly. He doesn't deserve a woman who loves him wholeheartedly. Master Lord Su, Suyu has been very good to me, and I'll always remember that. I'll never forget what the Su family has done for me. In the future, if the Su family ever needs me, I'll do anything for them. But I can't repay them with my own life. I'm really sorry. After Huamin finished speaking, he slowly put down the chess piece in his hand. Master Lord Su sighed. I lost again. You're too good at chess. It looks like I can't win against you. I'm really grateful that you told me all this today. Thank you for being so honest, no? Master Lord Su, please don't say that. I can't afford to accept that. Okay, I understand what you're trying to say. It looks like, when I have time, I'll try to persuade my stupid grandson to stop doing stupid things. Master Lord Su stood up slightly. Master Lord Su, Huamin seemed like he wanted to say something. Silly girl, you don't have to say anything. Just stay here like before? We'll treat you the same as before. You're such a good child, I'm sure God won't be too harsh on you. Your lover will definitely come back, just as you wish. Master Lord Su looked at Huamin lovingly. It made her feel touched that she had not felt in a long time. Thank you, Lord Su, thank you. After the discussion, Huamin returned to his room with a heavy heart. The Su family treated her so badly, but she still kept them at arm's length. Would he think that she was too hard-hearted? Mian, you don't look so good. Are you okay? Yang Meirong asked. I'm fine. I just didn't rest well. Let's sleep early today. Well, it just so happens that the two little fellows are asleep. You should rest early too. Huamin changed into his pajamas and walked over to the crib. Looking at the two babies sleeping soundly, his heart was filled with happiness. Zhao Zhao, Mumu. You have to tell Daddy to come back soon. I really miss him. The next morning when Suyu came out of the company after the morning meeting and walked over and handed him the phone. President Su, Madam is calling. She seems to have something urgent to discuss with you. Okay. Suyu nodded. Call back? Mom, you're looking for me? I just finished my morning meeting. Son, come back and take a look. Mian, what's wrong with Huamin? Suyu was extremely nervous. Mian is moving out. She's packed her things and is leaving our house with the twins. No matter how I persuade her, it's useless. Come back and persuade her, hurry up. Lady Su could tell that she was very anxious. I'll go back now. With that, Suyu picked up his jacket, got up, and went downstairs. He drove straight to the Su family's mansion. When he entered, Mian was already in the living room with her suitcase. Young master is back. The nanny shouted. Son, hurry up and persuade Huamian. Lady Su pulled Suyu's arm and walked over to Huamin. Chapter 1778. You're moving out? Suyu looked at Huamin, his tone as gentle as ever. Yeah. Huamin nodded sincerely. Then, I'll take you home, you? Lady Su was dumbfounded. She didn't expect her son to be on Huamin's side. Mom, let her go. We already agreed that she can't stay with us forever. Suyu smiled bitterly. Then, he walked over to Huamin and picked up the suitcase in his hand. Then, he walked out. Hey, how are we going to explain this to your grandfather? Mrs. Su was troubled. Mr. Lord Su really liked Huamian and the twins. Ever since Huamian gave birth, Mr. Su came home more often than before. The first thing he did when he came back was hug the twins. He spoiled them, doted on them, and coaxed them as if they were his granddaughters. I'll talk to Grandpa, Suyu replied. Auntie Su, don't be sad. I'll come back to see you guys. I'm just moving back to my own home. It's not like I'm going far away, Huamin comforted Lady Su. Then I'll go with you. I'll take the maids with me and help you pack. Otherwise, there'll be too much stuff. In the end, Huamin couldn't persuade Mrs. Su, so he brought a large group of maids and a fleet of cars and moved out. Huamin hadn't come back to South Hill Manor for a year. It was exactly the same as before. Huamin didn't say much on the way back. He just looked out the window quietly. When they got home, Uncle Li was shocked to see Huamin. His voice was filled with excitement. A young lady. Huamin nodded with a smile. You're really back? Yeah, I brought back 2 little guys. Huamin pointed at the kids in the maid's hands behind him. Those are babies. Uncle Li was beyond excited. Too many things had happened this year. Huamin and Qin Chu had left one after another. This place had been empty for a whole year. Fortunately, Huamin had called Uncle Li before and told them to work as usual. Their salaries would be credited to them directly. Now that the mistress had returned, the entire castle was in an uproar. It took a long time for everyone to settle down. Huamin asked the kitchen to prepare a sumptuous dinner for everyone. Before they left, Suyu asked her in private. What are your plans for the future? I've already applied to the US headquarters to take back the management rights of the company. I'll start working at GK next week. So fast? Yeah, I can't stay here any longer. I feel like a useless person. Although I'm not good at business, it's Qin Chu's company. It's the blood and sweat of the Qin family. I have to protect it with all my heart. Alright, I only have one request. What request? Huamin was slightly startled. I'll ask him to be your assistant and protect you every day. It's okay, I have bodyguards. Don't say no. It's decided then. I've already arranged for bodyguards. It's a token of my sincerity. Anyways, now that you're living here, you should be careful. Seeing that Suyu had made up his mind, Huamin couldn't refuse. Okay then, thank you. Yeah, I'm going back now. Call me if you need anything. Okay. When Suyu walked out of South Hill Manor, his heart was heavy. He didn't want Huamin to leave, but he could understand Huamin's situation. Therefore, he reluctantly let her leave and fulfilled all of her wishes. Silly child, you must be sad. Mrs. Su asked. As long as she's happy, Suyu quietly replied. Spring went and autumn came. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Mommy, Qin Zhaozhao stole my bunny. I'm so annoyed, come and see. A childish voice sounded. Huamin walked downstairs with a doting smile on his face. He looked at one of the girls. Pudding, are you bullying your sister again? Chapter 1779. That's because she's too stupid. She's not as smart as me, so she has to admit defeat. Pudding was very good at playing cards? Her tone was very arrogant. Humph. No way. We went for an IQ test a while ago and my IQ was only 0. 2 points higher than yours. Even Grandma said I was the smarter one. Pudding pouted, obviously not convinced. Grandma was just comforting you? You don't even understand. Okay, stop fighting, you two. I'm having a headache. Pudding, give the bunny back to your sister, Huamian said. She has to admit defeat. She lost at cards. Huamian was obviously unwilling. Mom, I didn't lose. I suspect Pudding cheated. She secretly switched the cards. Handsome Sue must have taught her. Humph. I'm going to teach him the next time he comes, but he won't even teach me. He's so biased. Am I not as pretty as pudding? Hwa-min was dumbfounded. Hwa-mian gave Suyu the nickname Handsome Sue because she was obsessed with looks, therefore, when she could speak, she always called him Handsome Sue. In the beginning, Suyu wasn't used to it. He always thought the two little guys were rude, but after a while, he actually liked it. The two sisters often bickered over who Handsome Sue liked more, but Pudding was obviously a little weaker. Because of the two daughters, the eldest had a slightly higher IQ. She also had a cold personality and was very scheming. To put it bluntly, she was very much like Chin Chu. Pudding was also very smart, but she was a chatterbox, which was not like Hwa-min at all. She was more like Jixin. Fortunately, Pudding was cute and often said golden words. She was the joy of the whole family. It doesn't matter if she's pretty or not. Handsome Sue doesn't look at women based on that standard. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen in love with mommy back then. Qin Zhaozhao, what do you mean by that? Hwa-min scolded with his arms crossed. Mommy, I'm just telling the truth. You're not that pretty. You're pretty at most, but Handsome Sue used to like you so much. He even let you live with him. TSK. Heaven and earth are our witnesses? The sun and the moon are our witnesses, Pudding said earnestly. Hwa-min, but don't worry, I'm just saying. Handsome Sue likes you, but it doesn't matter. You only have daddy in your heart, right? You're still so young. Don't be so fond of him. Things between men and women aren't as simple as you make them out to be. Please, little ancestor, you're only 3 years old. Can you play happily like a normal child? How can I be like those ordinary people? Please, I'm the daughter of crazy geniuses Chin Chu and Hwa-min. His sister was in her tsundere mode again. Hwa-min, mommy said to keep a low profile. Sis, don't go overboard. Little Bean reminded her kindly. At this moment, his phone rang. Hello? President Hua, there's a video conference at the headquarters in an hour. Okay, I'll be there right away. I have to go to the company. You two have to listen to Grandma at home. Also, don't run around. Don't tease Grandpa Lee and the others. Okay? Can we ask Handsome Sue to come and keep us company if we're bored? Little Bean asked innocently. No. Uncle Sue is very busy. Hwa-min glared at her. Okay. Then hurry up and go. We'll listen to you. The two little guys seemed to have gotten used to Hwa-min being busy. Pudding, don't bully your little sister when mommy isn't home, or else. Hwa-min didn't forget to remind them. Chapter 1780. I know. Pudding responded like a little adult. Hwa-min smiled knowingly and walked out of the manor. 3 years ago, when Hwa-min moved back to South Hill Manor, he applied to the American headquarters to take back GK's management rights. At the time, he thought the process would be troublesome, but who knew that the application would be approved with just one application. From then on, Hwa-min became the true president of GK. In the past 3 years, GK continued to grow. Aside from being grateful to Suyu for helping him, he stopped working in the film and television industry. GK was one of the best in almost all other industries. In the real estate industry, even the up-and-coming Hua Corporation couldn't compare. In the past 3 years, he often bumped into Hua Xiqian in the business world, but they never cooperated or talked much. Hua Xiqian's people had been looking for opportunities to make a move on Hwa-min and the twins, but they never had the chance. Only then did Hwa-min understand why Suyu insisted on having and follow her when they moved out. Xiao and skills were indeed terrifying. It was an exaggeration to say that he could fight against 100 people alone. His marksmanship was 100% accurate, and he didn't waste a single bullet. Moreover, he was very careful. With him by his side, Hua Xiqian couldn't do anything to him. The most impressive time was when Hua Xiqian personally led his men to intercept Hwa-min. In the head-on confrontation, and only injured his arm, but Hua Xiqian had 4 knife wounds in his abdomen and had to recuperate for more than a month. Since then, he seemed to have restrained himself a lot. The twins were 3 years old, but they never went to kindergarten. Because he was afraid that it was unsafe, Hwa-min hired a teacher to teach them at home. At such a young age, they could speak 7 languages. They were proficient in the 4 books and 5 classics. They even finished all 9 years of compulsory education in elementary and middle school. IQ testing experts had evaluated that although the twins were only 3 years old, they had the IQ and mentality of 12-year-old children. They were talented and smart. Unlike ordinary people, when Hwa-min did her measurements, her result was 138 points, which shocked everyone. Right now, the twins' score of 145 was enough to make everyone around them gasp in amazement. In Zhu Lingling's words, it was the product of Qin Chu and Hwa-min. This was going against the natural order. Jiang Xiaowei's son, Wei Yunqiu, was a few months older than them, but he didn't have such a high IQ. Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Liao were envious of Wei Yunqiu. They had been helping Wei Yunqiu develop his intelligence, when Huamin walked out, and was already waiting in the driver's seat of the Audi R8. The Audi R8 was actually only worth a little more than 1 million, less than 2 million. It was not outstanding among the luxury cars. However, it was Huamin's favorite because it was the first luxury car that Qin Chu had given her. She missed Qin Chu. She missed him all the time. 3 years had passed, and there was still no news from Qin Chu. Huamin missed him more and more. "President Hua, you don't look so good. Have you not been sleeping well?" An asked. "Maybe I'm too tired." Huamin massaged his temples. "The ginseng that President Su sent over is said to improve your eyesight and rejuvenate your mind. Why don't you ask the nanny to make some for you?" I'll tell you later." And had been by Huamin's side for 3 years. In the beginning, he was quiet, but now, he could get along with Huamin like they were friends. And had saved Huamin's life many times, so she knew that An wasn't just a simple assistant by Su Yu's side. He was actually an extremely skilled bodyguard. It was just that no one knew about him. When Huamin arrived at the company, he went straight to the executive meeting room and began talking to the headquarters. When he came out, it was already 3 p.m. "President Hua, you have a meeting with President Yu of Wanha at 8:30 p.m. Do you want to go personally, or do you want Supervisor Jing to go?" Bella walked over with some documents. Chapter 1781. Bella became Huamin's first secretary, and Qin Chu's former assistant, Yang, was now the CEO of the company. He was in charge of all the company's affairs and had a lot of power. Too many things had changed in 3 years, including Huamin's lifestyle. She went from an excellent doctor to a valiant female CEO, attending small meetings and all sorts of events. She received many outstanding awards. Before Huamin could reply, Jixin walked over. "Sis, I'll go to dinner for you tonight. You should go home and rest early." Jixin was wearing a black suit. He no longer looked as immature and reckless as he used to be. Instead, he looked like a white-collar worker. Jixin had returned to China a year ago. After he finished his studies, he had been helping Huamin at GK. He worked in the most difficult and complicated marketing department, and was only a small manager because Huamin wanted him to start from the bottom. "It's okay, President Yu is a little difficult to deal with. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle him. I'll go myself." Then, Huamin walked towards his office. "Sis, it's my niece's 3rd birthday in 3 days. Have you prepared everything?" "Yes." "Then, did you see the invitation list?" "I didn't, so you did it." "Oh, then I'll go talk to Big Brother Suyu. A few of our business partners heard about it and insisted on coming. They've told me a few times and asked me to bring a few invitations. I want to use this opportunity to get on their good side." Jixin smiled. "Then you should talk to Suyu. He's always been in charge of this." Huamin wanted to keep the little princess's 3rd birthday low-key. However, the Su family strongly objected. Lord Su, Mr. Su, and Suyu objected. In the end, Huamin gave in. Suyu took out the gift he gave to the twins, a luxury cruise ship worth over 100 million yuan. He was going to celebrate an unforgettable birthday for the twins on the ocean. It looked like the whole world was celebrating. In the end, Huamin had no choice but to agree. However, because the company was too busy, Suyu and Imperial Star's PR team were in charge of everything. She didn't ask much about it. There were only 3 days left. Time flew by so quickly. Imperial Star headquarters, Suyu sat in his office and looked at the invitation list for the cruise ship dinner party. The twins' birthday party was even grander than Imperial Star's anniversary celebration. Even someone like Grandpa Su would be there in person. It could be said that it was a gathering of the top celebrities. Invitations were hard to come by, and many entrepreneurs who wanted to curry favor with Huamian and Suyu were willing to spend a fortune to buy them. "Just wanted a chance to get on board the cruise ship, Your Highness, Your Highnesses. I means as jewelry store. Su SSS, means, S office." The female employee in the lead wore white gloves and held a square black velvet box in her hands. "President Su, the ring you ordered, Angel Smile, has arrived." Suyu took the box and slowly opened it. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring. The diamond was pink and was about 122 carats. It was found in South Africa, and it was the best preserved pink diamond in the world. Suyu bought it at an auction last year for more than 6 billion yuan. After he bought it, he secretly took it to a top-notch factory and spent a year polishing it into the only diamond in the world, Angel Smile. The design of the ring was a little angel with wings and a warm smile. The pink diamond was the hem of the angel's dress? It was very cute. The craftsmanship was also very complicated and difficult to make. He planned to propose to Huamin in front of the whole world at the dinner party in 3 days. President Su, are you satisfied with the ring? The employee asked carefully. Su looked at the ring gently and didn't say anything for a long time. Chapter 1782. I'm satisfied. Su nodded, trying his best to suppress the excitement in his heart. After the employee left, Su held the ring in his hand and couldn't bear to put it down. 3 years ago, Tang Chuan unintentionally suggested a ridiculous idea that Su took to heart. For the past 3 years, he carefully took care of Huamin and the twins. He maintained a perfect, non-awkward distance from them. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye, but his love for Huamin only increased. Everyone in the Su family understood his feelings, and no one forced him to go on blind dates or get married. They quietly watched him enjoy the most peaceful and gentle time with Huamin and the twins. 3 days later, it was the twins' 3rd birthday party. He wanted to announce to the world that he loved Huamin. He wanted to take Huamin as his wife, and hold her hand until they grow old together. For the past 3 years, he followed Hua Xiqian's subordinates, but he didn't find anything. So you thought that maybe? Qin Chu really wasn't in this world anymore. Otherwise, why wouldn't he show up for 3 years? If that was the case, then, it was time for him to be a man and propose to the woman he loved. Even if Huamin rejected him, he wouldn't regret it. He had to at least give it a try, right? So you had never been so nervous? When he held the ring, he felt as if his heart was going to jump out of his chest. GK headquarters, President Hua? I heard that. Hua Xiqian also got an invitation. Although we didn't invite him, he seems determined to come. What should we do? Should we ask security to stop him? Bella asked worriedly. No, let him do it, but President Hua. Bella was worried that he would cause trouble. Let him do it. I want to see how he can't do anything to me no matter how many ideas he has. He's on our turf, so why should we be afraid of him? Huamin sneered. When Huamin moved out of the Su family's house, Hua Xiqian was extremely excited. He thought that without the Su family's protection, Huamin wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. However, he didn't expect Huamin to be so smart that he fought with him for 3 years. Not only was he unable to do anything to Huamin, but he also lost to Huamin's business competition. The Hua Xiqian's Hua Corporation's entertainment business as well, Hua Xiqian's real estate and jewelry businesses to Huamin's, Hua Tu's to Huamin's to Huamin's to Hua Xiqian had tried so many times and failed, of course, and was the biggest contributor. He was like a godlike bodyguard. Huamin was grateful that Su sent such an excellent bodyguard to her. Okay, I'll do as you say. Bella, is there any news from HQ in the States? Will they send more people over? I don't know, I heard that they're still waiting for Mr. Nick's decision. I don't think there's much hope, President Hua. I know, I've prepared everything. If they come, I'll welcome them. If they don't, I'll take them with open arms. Huamin chuckled. 3 days passed in a flash. 3 days later, at 6 p.m. on October 26th, the Princess cruise ship was ablaze with lights, and the most important people in the city gathered there. It wasn't a business meeting or a superstar performance, it was a celebration for the twins' 3rd birthday. Imperial Star even bought out the rights to stream the event live on a certain platform. 5 minutes after the event started, more than 8 million people watched the live stream. It was an unprecedented scene. Wow, I think I saw an Ayang Appa. Look, is that him walking down the red carpet? A fan commented. It really is him. An Ayang Appa, I love you. I don't like an Ayang, I like Suyu. I heard that he personally designed tonight's event. He's handsome, rich, and romantic. Wow, he's my ideal husband. I want to see my Mian. It's been 3 years and she's become a successful career woman. She's so inspiring. Good luck. Where are the twins? I want to see them. Pudding, Little Bean, I'm your biggest fan. Ha ha ha. I heard that these two are geniuses. Inside the luxurious changing room on the cruise ship, President Hua, are you ready? It's your turn. Bella pushed open the door. Huamin stood up and looked back with a smile on his face. Even as a woman, Bella was stunned. President Hua. Chapter 1783. Huamin was wearing an off-shoulder dress that showed off her figure. It was aqua blue, the dress was covered with a light blue chiffon that was gold and purple, and the hem of the dress was faintly discernible. In the past 3 years, her shoulder-length hair had grown longer. Now, she had braided her hair and it fell over her left shoulder. It was very sexy. The most amazing thing was that Huamin, who usually dressed casually, was wearing very heavy makeup tonight. It was exquisite, beautiful, and gorgeous. She also wore a pair of aqua blue contact lenses. Bella felt like she had seen this outfit before. President Hua, what are you doing? Pudding and Little Bean really like Princess Elsa from Frozen, so I imitated her. Isn't it ugly? Huamin smiled. No, no, no. It's really beautiful. Oh my god, I was wondering why it looked so familiar. You really are cosplaying Princess Elsa? President Hua. I never knew you could look so beautiful when you're dressed up. Bella was very steady in her work. She would never exaggerate or flatter others. Therefore, her compliments were 100% sincere. Huamin only smiled slightly and walked over slowly. Bella carefully helped her walk out. When Huamin walked down the red carpet, she held the twins' hands, one on each side. The two little princesses were wearing white princess dresses, crowns on their heads, and magic wands in their hands. They looked very beautiful. Pudding and Little Bean were very beautiful, and they were indeed like their father. Huamin wasn't that stunning. Mommy, you look beautiful today. Little Bean praised with a smile. Mommy has always been this beautiful, okay? Pudding was still proud. With a smile, Huamin carefully held their hands and walked down the red carpet step by step. At this moment, everyone's attention was on them. In the middle of the stage, Suyu was wearing a white suit. When he saw Huamin and the twins walk back, his heart raced. The netizens watching the live stream were also confused. This was the first time in 3 years that Huamin had appeared with the twins in such a high-profile manner. Hua Xiqian looked at her from afar, and his gaze gradually softened. She's still so beautiful. In my heart, she'll always be so beautiful, Hua Xiqian said gently as he held a glass of champagne. When Huamin walked to the middle of the stage, Bella handed him the microphone. Huamin picked up the microphone and looked around the room. Thank you, everyone, for coming to my daughter's 3rd birthday party. I hope you have a good time. Huamin didn't make any long-winded remarks, nor did he flaunt or stir up emotions. Huamin spoke very sincerely. Then, the celebrity performance mode was activated. All the top superstars of Imperial Star were present. The opening dance was Ni Yang's mechanical dance, and the music was particularly high. The entire stadium exploded with passion. More than 1,000 guests on the cruise were gathered here to watch the performance. Huamin, the twins, the Su family, and his parents sat at the first main table. Zhu Lingling, Jiang Xiaowei, and Tang Chuan sat at the table next to Huamin's. The twins surrounded Grandpa Su and tried their best to coax the old man, making him very happy. Because Lord Su was present, the security on the cruise was extremely tight, and the special forces disguised as plainclothes were protecting him at all times. This kid, is so thoughtful. It's just a kid's birthday party, why did he make it so grand? Yang Meirong chatted with Lady Su with a smile. He's always been so high-profile. Lady Su replied with a smile. Tang Chuan sat next to Suyu and quietly whispered into his ear, "Is everything ready?" "Yeah." Suyu nodded, slightly nervous. "Let me tell you, in a bit, after the twins finish singing and performing, you should immediately go up and propose to them in front of everyone. I think Huamin won't reject you, the chances of success are very high. With so many people here, Huamin is a smart person, he won't make you feel awkward." Tang Chuan patted Suyu's shoulder encouragingly. Chapter 1784. Suyu bit his lip and didn't say anything. To be honest, he thought that the chances of success were pretty high. 3 years had passed, and Huamin should have let go of everything that happened in the past. After all, Qin Chu was a person of memories. In the past 3 years, almost no one had mentioned Qin Chu's name in front of Huamin. Actually, I didn't want to force her. If she didn't reject me because she didn't want to embarrass me, then I'd be pretty disappointed. Please, Lord Su, can you not be so pretentious? In this situation, you just need to ask Huamin to accept your proposal. Why do you care what her intentions are? Don't be so pretentious, okay? Plus, she'll fall in love with you sooner or later after you guys get married. I think the twins already treat you like their father. Upon hearing this, Suyu felt a sense of happiness rise up in his heart. He had a good relationship with the twins, and he really did treat them like his own daughters. Tang Chuan was right. Even if he was being selfish this time and made Huamin feel bad about rejecting him in front of everyone, then, he might very well succeed in his proposal. After the twins' birthday party, they would continue to prepare for their wedding. Suyu never thought that happiness would be so close to him one day. Other than Huamin, everyone else knew about Suyu's proposal. Zhu Lingling and Jiang Xiaowei were also cheering for Suyu. Lord Su, don't be nervous. Do your best. Zhu Lingling smiled. We'll witness this sacred moment together. Jiang Xiaowei held Wei Yunchu in her arms. Mommy, what are you guys talking about? What sacred moment? The little boy looked up and asked Jiang Xiaowei. You'll find out soon. Uncle Su is going to defy the heavens tonight. Jiang Xiaowei pinched her son's cheek and smiled. Huamin sat next to Yang Meirong and watched the performance in the center of the stage. Suddenly, his mind wandered. He didn't know what was wrong with him today, but when he woke up in the morning, his left eyelid started twitching violently. Then, he began to feel uneasy, as if something was about to happen. He hadn't had such a feeling in a long time. What's wrong, Mian? Her mother noticed that something was wrong. Maybe I'm a little seasick. I'll go get some fresh air. Mom, help me look after Pudding and Little Bean. All right, go and rest. After Huamin finished speaking, he stood up and walked towards the door. President Hua, are you okay? Bella followed him and carefully helped Huamin up. Huamin shook his head. President Hua, the U.S. headquarters just sent a notice, saying that Mr. Nick has arrived. He's here. Huamin was slightly surprised. Yeah, they said that he's already on the ship. No way. What the hell, why didn't they tell us earlier? Even if he's the president of the U.S. headquarters, he can't be so willful. Huamin was speechless. Mr. Nick was the newly appointed president of the U.S. headquarters. He kept saying that he wanted to come to China for an inspection. He mentioned it a few times, but nothing happened. Now, it was the twins' birthday and he had already secretly boarded the ship. Who was he? Where is he now? I've already arranged for him to be in the lounge of the first-class cabin. You can go there and greet him. Let's go. Huamin rubbed his temples, still feeling a little dizzy. She walked all the way to the first-class cabin with Bella, but there was no one there. Where is he? Oh. Mr. Nick went to the main hall and said that he wanted to watch the performance. Damn. Huamin was immediately pissed. I'm sorry, President Hua, it's my fault. I'll go look for him. It's okay, let him watch the performance if he wants to. I'm a little dizzy, so I'll go get some fresh air on the deck. I'll be back in a bit. Huamin waved her hand and sent Bella away. She slowly walked onto the deck with a glass of red wine in her hand. At this time, everyone was watching the performance, so it was very quiet. She looked at the sea in the distance, listened to the sound of the waves, and felt the sea breeze. Then, she took a small sip of red wine. Her heart started to beat faster and faster, as if it was going to jump out of her chest. Huamin reached out and pressed her left chest. Why is this happening? What's wrong with me? She muttered to herself. She couldn't even hold the glass of red wine in her hand and it fell to the floor. Just then, a black shadow flashed behind her. A pair of fair and slender hands gracefully caught the glass of red wine. Honey, long time no see. A familiar voice that she hadn't heard in a long time sounded in her ears. Huamian raised her head abruptly, and when she saw that familiar face, she felt as if all the blood in her body had frozen. Chapter 1785. Huamin stared at the man in front of her, unable to believe that all of this was real. Looking at his familiar face and gentle smile at such a close distance, Huamin felt as if a lifetime had passed. Mian, it's really me, it's not a dream, Qin Chu spoke again. His voice was still as magnetic as before. His voice was unbelievably soft, as if he was afraid that he would scare Huamin if he spoke a little louder. In that instant? Huamin turned around. Without saying anything, she threw herself into Qin Chu's arms. Tears flowed out before she could say anything. Tears flowed down her cheeks, quietly, without a single sound. Huamin didn't say anything. She just hugged Qin Chu tightly, her hands tightly gripping his black shirt. It was as if she was afraid that in the next moment, he would disappear into thin air. Qin Chu seemed to understand Huamin's feelings. He didn't say anything and just hugged her tightly. He slowly warmed her and melted her. No one knew how long Huamin had been waiting for this moment in her heart. She had imagined this scene countless times. But it wasn't as thrilling as this moment. It was even more intense than the first reunion after 7 years during a class reunion. In the end, Qin Chu couldn't hold it in anymore. He cupped Huamin's delicate face in his hands. He gently looked into her eyes. Mian. I'm sorry for making you wait. After speaking, Mr. Qin slowly kissed her. The moment their lips touched, she felt as if the sky and earth were spinning. Huamin greedily sniffed Qin Chu's unique and familiar scent, feeling the warmth of his cool lips. Her hands were still tightly hugging him, unwilling to let go. Then, it was a passionate response. This kiss of reunion after a long separation, from the initial gentleness to the later tempestuous, domineering invasion, and then to gentleness, and then to exhaustion. It felt as if a century had passed. Inside the main hall, where's Huamin? Zhu Lingling looked around but didn't see Huamin. She was very curious. He was here just now. Maybe he went out. Gao Ran put his arm around Zhu Lingling's shoulder. Zhu Lingling had just given birth to her son, Gao Boyuan, in April. Now, the child was only 7 months old. Zhu Lingling planned to bring Gao Buiyuan to Gu Ning's house today, but Gao Buiyuan liked to sleep too much, so Zhu Lingling decided to send him to Gu Ning's house. The twins' performance is over. Lord Su, you should find Huamin first. After all, she's the female lead, Tang Chuan reminded him. Alright, I'll go get her now. Suyu was still unable to suppress the excitement and nervousness in his heart. For the entire night, he was in a trance, as if something big was about to happen. When Suyu went up to the deck, he saw Huamin standing there and was about to go forward. He stopped in his tracks, because he saw Huamin tightly hugging someone, a man, and that man was, after Suyu saw clearly, he took 2 steps back and didn't go forward to disturb them. That person was actually Qin Chu, including the time Huamin was pregnant. It had been almost 4 years. Qin Chu actually came back quietly. On the night that he was about to propose to Huamin, Suyu felt as if his heart had been hammered by something. He subconsciously reached into his trouser pocket and took out the brocade box. At this moment, when he looked at it again, he felt that it was extremely ironic. He lowered his head and gently stroked the brocade box. Good thing I didn't have time to say it. Otherwise, Mian wouldn't be the only one embarrassed. Suyu smiled bitterly. He clearly saw Qin Chu and Huamian's passionate kiss after not seeing each other for so long. He felt as if something in his heart was disintegrating bit by bit, into pieces. He seemed to hear the sound of glass shattering. It seemed like everything was fate. Huamin was not destined to be his woman. When Suyu returned to the hall in a daze, his expression was extremely ugly, and he didn't say a word. What happened to Lord Su? You didn't find him? Wei Liao looked up and asked him. Chapter 1786. We'll go look for him for you, or you can ask the TV station to broadcast it over the radio. Haha, Huamin can't be far. Tang Chuan laughed. Lord Su, did something happen? Xiao Xiao, a psychologist, didn't miss the terrible look on Suyu's face when he came back. Suyu slowly raised his head, his face turning paler and paler. He's back. Who's back? Everyone was confused when they heard this. Qin Chu's back. Suyu didn't know how much courage it took for him to say these 4 words. But as soon as he said these words, he felt like all the strength in his body had left him. Everyone who was present was completely shocked. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran were dumbfounded. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei were shocked, and Ai Yang and Chen Jie didn't say anything. They looked at each other and seemed to be panicking as well. Tang Chuan knocked the cup in his hand to the ground, completely dumbfounded. Lord Su. Ha ha ha, are you kidding me? Don't mess around. Tang Chuan still thought that this was Suyu's prank. You'll see him soon. Qin Chu's back? Then what are you? For the first time, Wei Liao felt bad for his best friend since childhood. No matter what Tang Chuan said before, or if he wanted to defend Suyu, Wei Liao never said anything. But this time, he felt bad for his friend. He didn't come back sooner or later, but he came back just as Suyu was about to propose, and Qin Chu came back. Was he playing with him on purpose? For the first time, Wei Liao felt that the fearless Lord Su was so pitiful. If he missed this opportunity, then he might never be able to have Huamian again. He really didn't have another chance. 3 years of companionship is nothing compared to Qin Chu's warm hug. I, Suyu, am willing to accept defeat. I'll retire with honor. It seems like losing to Qin Chu was destined from the beginning. Suyu looked up and smiled awkwardly. Such a forced smile made everyone's heart twitch. Young Master Su, I feel bad for you. It's been 3 years. Even if you raise a dog, you'll still have feelings for it, let alone a human. Huamian doesn't have a heart, can't you see? Now, her husband is back, and she's going to live a happy and sweet life. What about you? What will you do? HM? No, I'm going to ask Hua. Tang Chuan was very straightforward, so when he saw Suyu's face, he became furious. She got up and was about to leave. However, Suyu grabbed onto the corner of his shirt. Come back, Lord Su, sit down. Suyu was furious as well, so he yelled at Huamian. It attracted the attention of the people around them. In the middle of the stage, the twins were still singing the English version of Frozen's theme song, Let It Go. The 2 little guys sang in 7 different languages, and the tune was very accurate, which made everyone present extremely shocked. Suyu pulled Tang Chuan to sit down and looked around at everyone. Then, he slowly said, I'm still willing to eat fish even when a fishbone is stuck in my throat. I've been bitten by dogs and scratched by cats, but I still love animals. Even when I had a mouthful of cavities, I still loved sweets as much as my life. Even though Huamin rejected me, I was still willing to cross mountains and rivers just to see her. The reason is the same, I love her, so I'm willing, Lord Su. Jiang Xiaowei seemed like she wanted to persuade him. Suyu reached out and interrupted Jiang Xiaowei, Everyone knew that Suyu had more to say, so they listened quietly. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.